Holy crap.
People persist in doubting the evidence.
Don't run and hide. Don't be afraid. Don't turn away any longer. The truth will set you free.
You're listening to Jimmy Church Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
We're turning all of our antennas towards Jimmy Church on Dark Matter Radio.
And now, your host, the captain of conspiracy, the prince of paranormal. This ain't your daddy's radio network show. This is Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Sup? What's up? Yeah. We got us a good one tonight. Oh, love it. Dale, that's pretty cool. Already quick on the retweet. How you doing, everybody? What's going on? Yeah. All right. Fade to Black. The trance, the Space Boy trance. It's like fade to black, fade to black. It's like a zombie attack. You just go into the zone. Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Today's Tuesday, October 14th, 284 days into the new year. We are live from the JP Motorsports Studios right here in sunny downtown Burbank. For KJCR and the Dark Matter Radio Network, I am your so humble host, Jimmy Church. Is everybody ready? I'll say it again. Is everybody ready? Let's go. Saw the post today, Twitter. I don't know who got it up there. I think it was, you know what? I'd have to scroll back and look, so I won't waste time. But I think Leslie definitely retweeted. Maybe it was his tweet originally. I retweeted. And if I got it wrong, it's okay. But have you seen the new Starbucks cream liqueur? Oh. Soon to be my downfall. Oh, man. Words cannot express the chills that went through my body. That is just wrong. I mean, Kahlua's wrong. Bailey's is wrong. But Starbucks cream liqueur. Lordy. Big salute to the proud men and women in uniform all around the world fighting the good fight for us. Without them, there is no me, there is no you, there is no us. Protecting our rights. That Constitution. It offends me when I get that email. Jimmy, what are you doing? Imperialistic United States. Do you know what we do? Do you have any idea? You have no rights. Man. No. You got it all wrong, brother. The fact that you can even type that email, you better give big thanks. Big thanks. Your right to complain to me is protected by the Constitution. You better think about that. Don't ever come at me like that. You're going to lose. Podcast all updated. What was funny is I went back today, and just when you think you're done, got David Icke got up there, and Wilcock and Joshua P. Warren, some stragglers. And I thought, oh, yeah. So I go and I scroll through the list, and it jumped from I'll just pick a random number. Don't quote me on this, but it was 51, 52, 54. What? Where's 53? 61, 62, 65. What? You're kidding me. So we have to do some more Forsnick research and figure out, man. But we're close. We're close. I thought everything was up there. But anyway, podcast got updated today again. And please go subscribe to the podcast. Help support the show. And so you can have Fade to Black on the go. You're sitting around with the family, the friends, the neighbors, the kids, and you just start to, hey, has anybody seen this app? It's really cool. It's called Fade to Black. Anybody want to listen to this? You get out your little Bluetooth speaker and crank a show for somebody. Wouldn't that be cool at a party? Not. Sit around drinking game to an old Gobekli Tepe episode. Wouldn't that be cool? Oh, I just said it. See, now we need Starbucks liqueur shots. Oh, man. The Big Lebowski comes to mind, doesn't it? Jeff Bridges stirring the White Russian with his finger. Soon to be Starbucks liqueur in a little tumbler, a couple ice cubes. And I'm sitting here on the air, swirling the cubes around with my. You can hear the glass getting tinkled by the ice. Wouldn't that be cool? Wouldn't that be cool? I think we should all do it. We should all post. Maybe we'll do it. What is today? Do we have enough days in the week left? Maybe we'll schedule next week. Maybe next Fader night, we'll do a Starbucks liqueur night. What does everybody think about that? And a little late, but early for me. Yeah, I see you, Liam. But what do you guys think about that? Follow us on Twitter, @JChurchRadio, #DMRadioNet. Come hang out in the sandbox. Again tonight, just like last night, we'll bust through, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 tweets in a night. It's a phenomena. Come and watch it @JChurchRadio. I don't know how it works because I've got, 3,000, 4,000 followers on Twitter. I follow, I don't know how many I follow, 50, 60, 70 people. I wish it was 0 because I can't even keep up with the 57 and then all the notifications. I read all the tweets all day long. But how does it work that many tweets happens in one show? It's insane. I love it. So what should we do? Should we do it? We'll have everybody go out. Look at the evil Rick just posted the dude. I got to retweet that. That's it. Retweeted. Done. Very cool. Should we do it? We'll have all the Fader knots. Can everybody go out and get a bottle of Starbucks and post the picture so we know you're official? Post your own picture so we know everybody's in on the action. And then next Fader night, a week from this Thursday, everybody's got to have time to do it. I say let's do it. We're not regulated by the FCC. Should we do it? I'm watching Twitter. Should we do it? If you guys are down, I'll do it. All right. We'll do a Big Lebowski Fader night evening with Starbucks liqueur. All right. See, I'm easy. I'm real easy. All right. I'm ready. Let's get this one cracking. I don't do Starbucks. Wise Frog, we're talking about Starbucks liqueur, cream liqueur. You will be doing it next week. Who just tweeted? Here, I'll retweet the picture. Let me go back. Here it is. Okay? For everybody's eyes. There it is. Starbucks liqueur. Did it retweet? It better have. That's what it looks like. I'm gonna go find it today. Let's get this cracking. Let's go. Let's go today. 007 himself, Roger Moore, 87 years old, still alive and kicking too. By the way, doesn't look that bad. 87 years old. How do you get to 87? My grandmother, June, saw her over the weekend at the wedding. 88 years old. And this is what she said to me. I said, Grandma, call her Grams. Grams, how do you get to 88? And she said 3 things. And I'm not making this up. I swear on my life, I'm not making this up. My grandmother said, potato chips, Oreos, and no hot drinks. I was like, what? Coffee? Nope. Hot chocolate? Nope. No hot drink? No hot drinks. Potato chips, Oreos, no hot drinks. Now, she's 88 years old. Now, let's stop and think about that. When somebody's 88 and they turn and give you that advice, you listen. You don't mess around. You listen to that. Not 87, not 80, not 75, not 60. Not somebody that's in great shape at the age of 50. No. 88, you stop and listen. Let me repeat. Potato chips, Oreos, and no hot drinks. She's kicking it, too. She is in great shape. She's right there. 88 years old. What's up, Grams? I hope she's listening. All right. Yeah, Roger Moore, 87 years old. Which begs the question, who was the better Bond? Who was the better Bond? Roger Moore or Sean Connery? Who was the better Bond? Forget about all the new Bonds. I don't want to hear it. Pierce Brosnan. What's his name? The new guy, whatever his name is. And he's good. He's fun. Edgy. I get that. But that's not James Bond. So who's the George Lansby? I knew somebody was going to come in with George Lansby. Who is the better Bond, Roger Moore or Sean Connery? Sean, without a doubt. Sean. Really? I'm leaning. I'm leaning on Sean too, especially the young Sean. I mean those early films. He had it down. But some Roger Moore clicking by. Status unknown. Roger Moore. Bex. Bex comes in with Roger. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do. Anything but alien. Sean Connery. Cortana. Sean Connery. Okay. I knew I was going to see Peter Sellers. That was actually a pretty good film. Yeah, it's kind of 50-50. I'm leaning on Sean, but you know what? I like them all. I really do. And when they do the 007 marathons on the movie channel or whatever, I'll bang through them. I will. I'll stop everything. Won't go to Costco. I won't do nothing. I'll just sit and watch 007. Twitter. Who is the better Bond? Roger Moore or Sean Connery? Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Everything is Fade to Black, J Church Radio. Go follow, like, and subscribe. If you're over on the Fade to Black page at Dark Matter Radio, all the links are there. If you're at jimmychurchradio.com right now, all the links are there. Just go up and click, follow, like, subscribe. We crossed, yesterday, I can't believe it, we crossed 6,000 subscribers on the YouTube channel. Unbelievable. Just absolute mayhem. Later on tonight, I will be taking your calls with Butch. He will be here at the bottom of the hour. Totally excited. And the thing is, with what he's doing is something that we talk about every single night on this show. This is you, the Fadernauts, us, we are the new generation of ufology. We get it. We understand it. And Butch is right there. And his attitude and his research and how he gets it done, wow. Great guy to talk to. So I'm totally excited about that. And we will be taking your calls later on tonight. Okay, email throughout the show, Jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. That's what you want to do. You can also do that over on the website, jimmychurchradio.com. Go to the contact page, shoot me an email, get through the producers here. That's what you want to do. Make it good, make it interesting, and then I will see it. If it's really good, I'll write back. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I'm fired up. We got a good one tonight. Oh, we do. Butch Witkowski. Tomorrow, Josh Reeves will be with us. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses, only on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
You're listening to Jimmy Church Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, you have tuned into the latest phenomenon in late night talk radio, Fade to Black, starring the inimitable Jimmy Church, showcasing his continuing quest in pursuit of knowledge of the strange and paranormal. Sit back, open your mind, and let's get cracking.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I got to tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. Doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil three-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
On the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Oh, yeah. Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your humble host, Jimmy Church. Welcome, everybody listening all across the United States, all around the world. Scotland, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, Ireland, Netherlands, Finland, Norway, Germany, Italy, Brazil, Mexico. Welcome, everybody. Where are you listening from right now? What country? What country? Tweet it right now. Let me see tweet. Light up. Tweet box. Tweet deck. Light up. Where are you listening from right now? What country? What city? In the United States, you know what to do. Where is everybody listening from? I just want to take a sneak peek. All right. Facebook. Jero Orantes says, "Hey, Jimmy, do you know Jordan Maxwell? You should try to get a hold of him. This guy has lots to say." It's kind of ironic. Got that message on Facebook. Jordan called last week. We will be getting him on the show. He's got a few little things he had to clear off his calendar last week. And we're going to get Jordan on the show. He actually lives very close to the studio here in Burbank. So Jordan, yes, will be on the show. Okay? Email from JT Taz. He says, talking about the Midwest, Ohio. So how was the meatloaf? We're all wanting the recipe. I didn't have meatloaf, but you know what? I did. I did get out. I did Waffle House, of course. I posted those pictures. Skyline chili. Wow. It's not for everybody. I get that. Skyline chili. Some pretty tasty stuff. I don't know what that secret ingredient is. I don't even know if I want to know. That's good stuff, man. Chili 5 ways. Ooh, man. All right. Another email. This is from Method of Signaling. And this is what he has to say. He says, I think I have the Fate or Not Anomaly Research and Reporting, FAR, F-A-R-R, mapping thing under control now. I'm going to take a new approach, though. If you have a sighting, I want you to report it to me directly. Email me as much information about the event as you can. There is an items requirement checklist below. Any and all additional information is extremely helpful, but not required. What I'm trying to do is build an unbiased database of sighting accounts without interference from any agency or any group with an agenda. This is raw data, pure and simple. I like raw data more than candy. The results down the road will speak for themselves. So, with that being said, here is the checklist of items required to add your account to the FAR map. Now, listen. The FAR, F-A-R-R, over at faders.org, that setup, I think, is singular in ufology right now. And what they are doing over at faders.org, I wish I had something to do with it. The design, the effort, the complexity. This is a different sort of organization. Okay? Like-minded people like you, Fader-Knots, people that listen to this show, go and check it out. You have the ability to create your own blog, to communicate with other like-minded people just like yourself that want to learn, want to talk, hang out. Trolls not allowed. Very cool. It's so awesome. Okay, so go and check out faders.org. Check out the FAR section, interactive map. If you have a sighting, Chris from Winnipeg the other day, his email to me, and I get an email like that every single day. So, if you have a sighting, there's something you need to get out there, get over to faders.org. Go to the FAR section, F-A-R-R, which is the Fader Not Anomaly Research and Reporting. Check it out. This is the checklist. 1, your approximate location. 2, if you can find it, the latitude and longitude on Google. The date. Number 4, the atmospheric conditions. Was it raining, storming? Was it lightning outside, etc.? Number 5, were you alone? Did you have anybody with you? Number 6, do you have pictures or video that you can attach to the email? Number 7, do you have an approximate distance and elevation from your position? Was there any movement to the object? Number 9, your first name and the first letter of your last name. Number 10, the most important one, a declaration that you are not bat poop crazy. And number 11, your permission to include the event on the FAR map. That's it. That's it. And it says, sorry about number 10, but we don't have to take ourselves that serious. FAR is cool. Faders.org. Is it a fan site? No. It's a group of like-minded people just like yourself. Go and check it out. If you haven't been there, just go and see exactly what I'm talking about. I look at that, and I'm just so proud of what the Fader-Knots and Method and everybody else has contributed to this website. I think it's extraordinary. And I don't think it's like anything else out there in ufology right now, today. Paranormal, today. Faders.org. All right, let's see here. Guest request. Again, every guest this week was requested by you. Same thing for next week. We're going into Halloween week, too. We're going to have a really cool Halloween week set up. We're almost done with it now. We know what we want to do. We just got to pull it all off. But I think we're really close. But Halloween week is going to be, let's just say, interactive. It's going to be a lot of fun. Maybe it should involve Starbucks cream liqueur. Man, I'm telling you, that excited me today. Wow. Very, very cool. Okay, let's see. A couple of headlines I want to get out of the way. Pretty crazy. And then we'll get to Butch here at the bottom of the hour. This is on CNN. Nurses at Texas hospital say there were no protocols about Ebola. And I'm quoting here. The guidelines were constantly changing, end quote. Another quote, there were no protocols, end quote. Some of the allegations, I'm going to bang through these really quick. On the day that Duncan was admitted to the hospital, he was left for several hours, not in isolation, in an area where other patients were present. Up to 7 other patients were present in that area, the nurses said, according to the nurses union. A nursing supervisor faced resistance from hospital authorities when the supervisor demanded that Duncan be moved to an isolation unit, the nurses said, according to the union. Also, after expressing concerns that their necks were exposed even as they wore protective gear, nurses were told to wrap their necks with medical tape. I'm quoting here. They were told to use medical tape and had to use 4 or 5 pieces of medical tape wound around their neck. The nurses have expressed a lot of concern about how difficult it is to remove the tape from their neck. Also, nurses have substantial concern that these conditions may lead to infection of other nurses and patients. Another concern. At one point, during Duncan's care, there was no one to pick up hazardous waste as it piled to the ceiling. In the end, the nurses strongly felt unsupported, unprepared, lied to, and deserted. That doesn't freak you out, nothing will. Big Tobacco is trying to take over e-cigarettes. Specifically, the FDA has indicated that it may require e-cigarette manufacturers to complete a long paperwork process before it will consider a product for approval. Many industry watchers believe that that only the very large manufacturers, Big Tobacco, would have the financial resources to meet the requirements, which could demand an estimated, check this out, 5,000 hours per application, with every product combination requiring a new application. According to the Consumer Advocates for Smoke-Free Alternatives Association, only 25 products among thousands currently available will eventually be licensed. The tobacco industry will then be able to go and buy all of the small e-cigarette makers that are unable to meet the FDA's requirements. Big Tobacco will then be able to decide which products are sold and which ones it wants to manage. Think about that. They're trying to end e-cigarettes as a category for consumers. In other words, the tobacco industry will virtually have a monopoly for every new product to come to market. They want to disrupt anything that interferes with their business of selling tobacco. Crazy. Saw it coming too, didn't you? I did. There was no way Big Tobacco was going to let all these little e-cigarette guys just come in, start to close them down. No. Pot is next. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses, only on the Dark Matter Radio Network. I'll be back right after this with Butch Witkowski.
Are you afraid of the dark? Don't move. Don't touch that mouse. You are listening to Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses on jimmychurchradio.com.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
Dark Matter.
Dark Matter, Dark Matter, Dark Matter, Dark Matter.
You're listening to Fade to Black
on the Dark Matter Radio Network.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Oh, yeah. How you doing? Welcome, everybody listening all across the United States, all around the world. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I am your humble host, Jimmy Church. Follow us on Twitter right now, at JChurchRadio, hashtag DMRadioNet. Come hang out in the sandbox. I think we're already like 1,000 tweets in. Let's rock this thing. I'm ready. Let's get this cracking. Butch Witkowski, FFSC, is the director and founder of UFO Research Center of Pennsylvania. He's the editor of JAAR, the Journal of Abnormal Abduction Research. He's a member of the Institute of Frontier Science, member of the Academy de Ufology, Paranexus consultant and advisor for ufology, former UFON chief investigator. He was a STAR team investigator and state section director, former law enforcement officer. He has started as an independent researcher in 1989. In 2009, he started the UFO Research Center of Pennsylvania and brought together some of the best like-minded researchers. This multidisciplined group of investigators pursues both the historical and new cases that arise, with the hopes of bringing resolution to some of these cases of high strangeness. I talk about this all the time on this program. The new, the fresh, is what we need in ufology. And Butch presents that in flying colors. And I would like to welcome to the program Butch Witkowski. We talked about that earlier today, Butch. That's a great name, by the way. That's
pretty common too. In Polish, it kind of means like Smith or Jones.
It totally is. And unless you're from, Chicago, Cleveland, certain parts of the Northeast, you would have a problem saying that name. But you're absolutely right. Every neighbor on your street knows a Witkowski. That's just the way that it is. How are you tonight?
I'm fine, sir. And how are you?
Oh, I'm so fired up. So fired up. It's great to have you on the show. Now, we were talking earlier today about so many different subjects, and I knew it was kind of funny. And I'll say this in front of everybody right now, in front of God and country. When I called you, I said, okay, Butch, I need you for 5 minutes. We talked for an hour, all the way up to nearly showtime, and it was one of those great, colorful conversations. And I had said to them, we're doing the show right now. We need to stop. We need to stop. We need to pump the brakes on this. and save the good stuff for the show. And you promised me that you would remember everything, so I'm going to hold you to it.
Yes, I have.
Okay, all right. Oh, I don't know. With you, we can start in so many different directions. But what I would like to do is throw out a softball. Okay, a little underhanded pitch, and I just want you to take us back to, take us back to before MUFON, and what stirred your interest in ufology. Something happened. I don't know if it was with your family or when you were 5 years old, but something raised an eyebrow for you and took you down this road. What was it?
Well, my wife and I were living in Tucson, Arizona. We were having some saguaro cactus put in our yard. A couple young fellows from the college came over to put them in. And they got all done. Of course, it was the middle of the summer. It was very hot. And my wife went in, got iced tea for everybody, and we're standing in the driveway drinking iced tea. And I looked up over the mountain, A Mountain, and A Mountain is just a mountain that's one of the mountains that surrounds Tucson. There's a big A on it that students of the University of Arizona go up, and the pledges every year have to go up and paint it white.
Right.
So above this thing is this object that was at least, in my best estimation, 2 to 3 football fields in length, at least 7 stories high, kind of a burnt copper color, a couple really faded green lights on the side, and was just hovering above the mountain. Not a sound, no electrical issues. And I kind of looked at everybody else, and they were all staring at it at the same time. So you imagine these, we got 5 or 6 people standing in the driveway with their mouths wide open, holding a glass of iced tea, staring at this thing.
What year?
This was in 1989.
Okay.
And it just hovered. It moved very slightly and slowly up and down, and then it raised itself up, I'd say about 1,000, 1,500 feet, and shot off so fast to the west, I could probably see a bullet better than I saw that leave.
Wow.
So I called the...
let me stop you right there if you don't mind. I don't mean to be rude, but it was obviously large. But what did it look like to you?
It looked like if you would be looking at a tube, but the ends were pinched, like if you had a cigar tube and you pinched the ends, that's basically what it looked like.
Interesting. And it was copper colored. And
it was a burnt copper color, yeah.
So something that was probably traveling through space, and the colors were...
There were no seams, no rivets. There was no windows, no wings or empennage or tail section like you would, or no engines. You couldn't see. It was just a tube.
Wow.
And so I called the Pima County Sheriff's Office to report it. I called Tucson City Police Department to report it. I called every media outlet I could think of to report it. I called Davis-Monthan Air Force Base, which at that time was the primary air base used for the A-10 jets, attack aircraft. I called the Tucson Airport radar. I called everybody I could think of. I called everybody but my dead grandmother. And nobody saw nothing.
Except for the group that you were with.
The group I was with, and the gentleman across the street who was the head of federal prisons for the state of Arizona, the warden, and he saw it, and he just got, what the hell is that? I'm going like, I don't know. So that sparked the interest.
Well, here's the doofus question. This is the Jimmy Church question. No cameras, no pictures?
No, nothing. I mean, it was, the whole thing probably took, from the time we saw it till the time it left, it was probably, I'd say minute and a half, maybe.
Did you see it arrive, or did you look up and it was already there?
No, we just looked up. I mean, you had that feeling that there was something not quite right, and I just looked up, and evidently everybody was looking at the same thing I was.
Right.
And I didn't see it arrive, saw it leave.
Right.
But
you know what's interesting about that location? I've been there probably 100 times to Tucson, and I've been all over those mountains and where that A is. And where Tucson is, everybody needs to understand. Renee from Tucson is going to chime in here in a second, one of our producers here, is that it's desert except for the city of Tucson. And then those mountains that are there, behind those mountains is nothing.
Right.
So what would it, I mean, you know, it's Tucson, although it's a big city and the university is there and there's some military stuff there too as well, but it's very isolated. So if it was behind those mountains at all, there wouldn't be anybody back there to see anything because there's nothing back there but desert and hills. I've been four-wheeling back there, but trust me, if anything happened to anybody that was back there, you would never be found.
Oh, yeah, if you walked around my backyard and walked in the wrong direction, they have to send a search party out to find you.
Right. So
I mean, it's just, you know, it's like you said, you know, like we bordered the Indian reservation there, and you know, when you get out past, when you get south of I-10, I mean, you're in the desert.
Yes.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
No,
that's it.
No. And you know it in the summer too as well. You are definitely in the desert.
Oh yeah, and you can get in big trouble in a short period of time.
Very quickly. I went four-wheeling up there with a friend of mine. And he went back. I forget the name of the trail, but it's a very famous drop off. And we went, oh man, way back over the mountain to the backside. But when we were driving there, he pulls over, and this was at night. Pulls over to like a Circle K, and he goes in and he buys like 4 gallons of water. And a bunch of beef jerky and a bunch of candy. And he comes out with like 4 bags full of food. I go, what's up? He goes, dude, if anything happens to us, we need to survive for a few days.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's nobody
and they
back.
tell you, I mean, there's warnings. I mean, they have warnings on buildings. They have warnings on the road. You know, don't enter the wash when it's raining. Don't enter this area without notifying somebody where you're at. Do not travel beyond this point without water and sustenance of some type. I mean, they have signs up all over the place, and yet people walk in the desert and they're never seen again anyway. But
yeah, that's right. And so we're back there in his it was a Land Rover, and we pull up and we're getting ready to go over this cliff. And on both sides, just like you're saying, we're skull and crossbones. These signs, don't go any further. You know, and I was like, wow, what are you doing? But anyway, that's exactly right. It is hardcore, harsh desert environment, and that's where this was sighted at. That's pretty interesting.
So when this took off, it went directly westbound, because I lived in northwest Tucson, and this went directly westbound, like followed I-10 heading to California.
Right.
Gone.
Wow.
It hit the mountains, and it was just gone. I mean, it was just vanished.
And no reports, nothing.
Not one.
Not the next day.
Except for the media, they laughed at me a lot, but
right.
Other than that, you know, like especially the Air Force Base, you know, they got with those fighters there and all the stuff they have there, you know, their radar system must be horrendous.
Right.
And they didn't see. Well, we didn't see anything. We don't have reports of anything in the area. You know, we got a couple planes up. He said, but they're not even near here. They're over by Phoenix.
And then you have all the military up in Phoenix too, as well. You know, somebody should have seen something.
Oh yeah.
Well,
and you have that big, you have Sky Harbor Airport in Phoenix, huge place.
Yep.
Much bigger than Tucson, and they didn't see nothing.
And it's not that far from Tucson.
No.
So, how did that make you feel?
Well, at first, to tell you the truth, my wife and I kind of laughed it off and thought, well, we've been out in the heat all day, you know, one of those deals. And then we started to talk about it over time, and it was like, no, we saw what we saw. And then I started, you know, just digging books, papers, anything I could find on UFOs, television shows, I mean, and just searching for information. And that got, by the time, let's see, maybe 93, 94, I just got tired of it. I just wasn't getting anywhere. All I was doing was reading books and reading papers and this, that, and the other thing. I was getting nuts. So then I just put it away. And I thought, you know, enough is enough. I accumulated a whole bunch of binders with stuff that I printed. And I just, you know, I just got to the point where, look, I'm not going to go anywhere. I'm not going to get anywhere with this. So that's that. So
in the back
somewhere around 97, 98, a UFO show came on television, and it bit me, and I've been at it ever since.
Well, did you, back to 1989, 1990, right after the sighting, did you come to the conclusion, though, that UFOs are real?
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that what I saw is what I saw.
Right.
I mean, there have been a number of sightings over the years that I've seen that were similar to mine. In size, shape, and color. So what I saw is what I saw, and I've seen quite a few over the years, in the 26 years I've been at this, and the one thing I can always say is I've never been alone, ever. Ever. I've always been with somebody else or 3 or 4 other people when I saw what I saw.
Yeah, I've had 3 sightings. I won't go into them now again on the show, but I've had 3 sightings. Each one, I was with somebody else. Mm-hmm. I've never seen anything alone, and I'm so thankful for that. And
it keeps that name tag off you like loony.
Well, not only that, in all 3 of my sightings, I wasn't the first one to see it either. It was always somebody going, "Hey, what's that?" Hey,
well, my second sighting, my third sighting, which was I was leaving work, and I've been in the parking lot talking to one of my employees, and he said, "What's that?" And it's daylight, 6 o'clock. It's in the summer, and 6 o'clock in the evening. And I look up and I see this bright white light. I mean, it's so bright it looks like I'm looking into a continuous flashbulb. And of course, I think I know what it is. And, I'm looking at my watch, getting the time, and, doing the thumb up in the air bit, and I'm looking at my truck, which is across the parking lot about a quarter of a mile away. And I'm thinking, till I run from here to there, they'll find my body right about there with the heart attack. So I just stood my ground, and I said to the guy, I said, "Is that slowing down?" And he said, "Looks like it is." And it surely did. At this point now I'm thinking, about time I'm going to get my ride. And it slowed down. It went vertical. It turned cherry red, a cherry red that I can't even describe to anybody, and shot straight up into the sky, into the stars. I mean, it was gone. So I get home, and I was a member of MUFON at the time, and I thought, should I make this report? Shouldn't I make this report? I'll make the report. So I make the report. And as soon as I get done with the report and log it, a couple minutes goes by, and one of my investigators from up in northern Pennsylvania calls me on the phone and said, "Did you see this report of this bright white light?" And I said, "Yeah." And he said, "Who put that in?" I said, "Well, can't you read? Look at the bottom. Me. I saw it." He went, "Really?" I said, "Yeah, what's the big deal?" And he says, "Hit enter." So I hit enter. A second report pops up that he got. Same identical report. The guy and his wife were unloading groceries, saw the bright white light, saw it go vertical, turn cherry red, and go into the sky. I saw it at 6:10. He saw it at 6:11. And I went, wow. So, I mean, they're out there.
Yeah, why do you think, and you, with what you've been doing for so long with your organizations, I'll say that plural, why is it that some people see it and some people don't? Like your experience in Tucson. Tucson has got to be 1 million people, 500,000 plus universities. So I'm going to say it's 1 million strong, but no reports. I had the same thing here in the Valley with our sighting. I immediately called MUFON, and Steve Murillo and Wolf McCarran called them immediately. And they said no. I said, well, note this time, it's 10:24 in the evening. And this thing crashed in downtown Van Nuys. Well, it looked like it was going to crash and explode. Mm-hmm. And same thing that you saw was a bright white sphere. But anyway, not to get into those details. But what was funny was I followed up with, not only MUFON didn't have any reports, but there was nothing in the newspaper. There was nothing online. I checked LATimes.com for a week. All of the websites. I went looking for something. Here we have, 4 million people or whatever that lives here in the Valley. The San Fernando Valley is packed. 10:30 at night, this orb went straight to downtown Van Nuys. Looked like it crashed into the courthouse. Not one report. How is that possible? Just like you with yours. I mean, how is that possible?
Well, I brought that up to a couple people already, and seasoned investigators that have been at it a long, long time. And, I mean, they've all had similar experiences. And the one guy said to me, he says, I've come to the conclusion that you were meant to see what you saw. And all the ones that you've seen afterwards, you were meant to see them. I mean, I can look up in the sky. Like I've watched people at Star Watches stand there for hours and hours. They don't see a thing, or they have the wandering-eyed thing going on. And I can stand there and just look up at any time, and I can see some type of movement, or I can see something that I can't explain. And we were down in French Creek State Park doing an equipment test for one of our mobile units, where we pull everything out and try it, or set it all up, try it, make sure the computers work, and this works, and this Qualcomm works, and the sat phone works, and all that stuff. And we were being checked on every hour because they locked us in for the night. We were being checked every hour by the state police. And a trooper was standing there, and we were watching two go across the sky in front of us and filming them. And the trooper says, "What about this one?" Because he was standing in the back of us looking the other direction, so we turned around. It was the only one I ever saw zigzag across the sky, stop, dip, make a U, come back up, and continue zigzagging, stop, and then go straight up. I said, "Now that's different." And
Wow.
He said, "Oh, I see them like that all the time." I went, "Oh, God."
Okay.
Oh, I mean, they're there. We don't know what they are. They're not ours. I mean, they're way too high. They're too fast. I mean, they're just...
Well, with your sighting over Tucson, and in a second, I want you to tell everybody exactly about your organization and its branches and what you guys do.
Sure.
For those that aren't familiar with. But with your sighting in Tucson, very unique, but what was your conclusion? Ours or theirs?
Theirs, definitely theirs. We don't have anything like that.
You don't think
we
there
don't
was...
have the Hindenburg? When I measured took the measurements of the Hindenburg was short.
Wow.
So.
Wow.
Wasn't as high and it wasn't as long.
I'm really jealous. That must have been extraordinary. The one thing that I've never seen, and I have a hard time making this out in photographs, is the classic description of a cigar-shaped craft. Mm-hmm. And I often wonder. Well, that's exactly what you just described. And as a matter of fact, you said cigar tube. I find that really interesting. But I have never seen anything like that. And when I see photographs of that with that description, it's hard for me to picture it. But yet it has been repeated and repeated. Look, if somebody wants to say something that they saw a flying saucer, well, okay, their mind says that because they've seen pictures of it, maybe movies or whatever. It's easy to describe. A sphere, a ball is easy to describe. But when somebody describes something like a tube, I find that very, very, very unique.
The most reported objects are triangles and orbs.
Right. You don't see cigar-shaped UFOs in movies.
No.
I never have.
No, they're the classic saucer.
Right.
And, there are very few, and I mean very few, reports of the classic saucer. Most sightings are triangle. I would say triangles number one, orbs number two, and a winged craft of some sort would probably be number three.
Yeah, my three sightings, they were all one of each. One was, it wasn't a black triangle. It was like a pyramid. It was three-dimensional, very high up in the sky. That was one. The second one was the white orb that I was just telling you about in Van Nuys. I'm going to guess that was, 20 to 30 meters across. It was probably 5 to 10 miles in front of us. And judging from the size of it, it was pretty good size.
Another one that's being spotted, and again, that's recent too. I want to say recent, probably within the last 2 years, are rectangles that are totally flat.
Yeah, that seems to be. I find that curious too, and that I don't know when I hear that, and black triangle and the giant black triangle. I think possibly that's leaning towards us instead of them.
Yeah. We have these drones now, and if you look at the new drones that are coming out, I mean, they are classic UFO shapes.
Absolutely.
And the difference is how a person can tell the speed. Okay. Mm-hmm. Something that's crawling along at 35 mile an hour is probably ours. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And if there's helicopters inside of it, and we just had one of those in Pennsylvania not long, about a month ago, where one of my researchers actually saw it, and he was up by a military base coming home from work, police officer, and he said that, hey, he said, this is what I saw. He said it was a big black triangle-looking thing. He said it was moving about 30, 35 miles an hour. It wasn't going fast. And he said about a mile behind it were 2 Chinook helicopters. Now, Chinook helicopters are not something that you see every day anymore. I mean, they've kind of went out of, the Chinook hasn't been used a whole lot since the Vietnam War.
Right.
And the base where he saw this, where he was at going past when he saw this, is actually a base for Apaches. So, and he said it was heading west toward Harrisburg, where there's a large contingent of Air Force at the Harrisburg airport. So they're up there. They're being seen all the time. They are what they are. People say, well, what are they? Well, we don't know that. We don't have one. At least we don't think we don't have one. But we don't know what controls them. They could be robotically controlled. I mean, they could be interdimensional. They can be actual, as you see them.
Mm-hmm.
But we have no clue what they are. But they are there, and they've been there for a very, very long time.
Tell us about your organization and what was the motivation?
Well, the motivation with the UFO Research Center of Pennsylvania was I just didn't think that the research that I wanted to do was going far enough. And I thought maybe if I did it on my own and, just got like-minded people involved, that I could, just get it a little better. So I started it in 2009 with 4 members here in Pennsylvania. And we do ufology, paranormal, and cryptozoology. And each one of those guys has their own expertise. Over the years, we've grown to 9 associate groups, Florida, Northeast Florida, Georgia, Missouri, Europe, Poland, England, Michigan, Northern California, Oklahoma, Utah, and we have a cold case unit. And the cold case unit is the unit that's working on the Todd Sees case. But we have, I guess there's about 45, 55 people involved. And we're always looking to add new states. I mean, we just want somebody that has the background, that's a seasoned investigator. We have 2 mobile units. We have our own photographic lab. The neat part about all the groups is that whether it's a case that I'm working on or a case that somebody else is working on, you have all these people to bounce your information off of and get information back on. We have ex-helicopter pilots. We have police officers, security officers, homeland security officers, abduction specialists that have been at it a long, long time. And so just bringing all these people together in basically a nutshell and using all their background and expertise makes for a whole lot easier investigations.
Tell me about the mobile units. I remember hearing about those a while ago with you, and I was like, man, that is so cool.
James Carrion, when he was with MUFON, was wanting to do that. He wanted to put one in the eastern, western, and midwest of the United States, fully equipped. Never got that done. And we had a small unit when we started, and now we have 2. Our unit is a Ford E350 2012 van. It has satellite communication. It has weather station built in. It has Qualcomm sat phones, every type of camera you can think of. We have Nikons. We have regular television grade CCD camera. That damn thing weighs 18 pounds. But infrared, full spectrum. We can take a plaster cast, or we can put you in a body bag. So we have everything we need. Fingerprint kits and evidence retaining kits, hazmat kits, radiological equipment, radios. We have ham radios. We have regular. We have our own channel radios. We have VHF radios. They're 16-channel private channel. So if we're out in the field and we're talking to each other, nobody's going to understand what we're saying anyway because they're all jammed. And we have ham radio. We have laptops, iPads, dash cams, body cams that we wear. You name it, I think we pretty much have it all, right down to a magnifying glass.
Man, that sounds so cool. I wish there was one out here. You need to get the research center, the Southern California based one. You and Murillo need to hook up, is what you need to do.
Yeah.
So
Steve's a good guy.
Yeah, Steve's a great guy. Great guy. He says hi, by the way. I just spoke to him a few minutes ago. Now, the reason for obviously, MUFON's a great organization. I'm not going to
absolutely,
but we've seen a groundswell and then peter off with all kinds of organizations, APRO and NICAP and MUFON. There's you. What's his name down in Florida with his. I know
what you mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. In one ear and out the other.
Yeah. He's been on the show too. Anyway, but each one has kind of come and gone, and you felt the necessity for doing this. Why MUFON doesn't have mobile units and equipping their reason? I don't know. Maybe they're too big. I don't know why.
Well, it's very expensive. You know, when I sit down and think, or my wife reminds me, how much money I've got sitting out there in the driveway. You know, you're talking about close to $50,000.
Sure.
And I mean, if you wanted to put 3 of those in the country, you're talking about 150 plus,
right.
Plus the gas, plus the insurance, and all that other stuff.
Right.
And I mean, we even have canopies. We have portable desks, food. I mean, we can go out and we can stay in that van with heat, water, and everything for 5 days. We don't have to be anywhere. We can sleep in the van. We have heat. We have everything we need in that van. And I think for groups to do that, it's very expensive. It would be very expensive. When we started, like I said, it was only 4 guys, so that it made it pretty simple. And the second unit we have is 4-wheel drive. That's out in western Pennsylvania. Now, the only difference between that van and this van has rappelling equipment in it. That van has diving equipment in it, and the guy that runs that van is a certified rescue diver. So, not that we get that many calls for water, but we have had reports in Pennsylvania of objects coming out of the water and going into the water. So,
how many reports do you guys get a day?
Not so many a day as I would have to say by the month. Anywhere between, depending on the month too. If it's like, in the middle of July, 4th of July, you're going to get 100 reports. But between about 30 a month, 35.
Is there a spot in the country that seems to be hotter?
Florida, Missouri seem to be the hot spots right now.
Really?
Uh-huh.
What about Southern California?
Southern California, well, all of California, southern or northern, is just they've been number one, will be number one because of their size, like Texas, between Texas and California.
Right.
The size, the population, I mean, they're just going to have much more reports. But like Missouri and Florida has always been like in that number 3-4 slot. But people are looking more now. There's more pictures being taken because everybody's carrying that iPhone or Android on their belt. So the reports are a little bit more interesting. Abduction cases, they're up in the last 3 years now. They're probably up about 20%.
With you mentioned Missouri, you mentioned Florida, of course, California. Is there a certain type of object that is seen?
The 3 I mentioned: the orb, the triangle, and the rectangle.
But I'm referring to, is it? Are they tied to the state? Like, is Missouri seeing more orbs?
No. Everybody sees a variety.
Interesting.
Yeah, everybody sees a variety. I know there's a couple researchers looking at the 37th parallel, which somebody has dubbed the UFO paranormal highway, which runs across the middle of the United States, and they're tracking the reports there. And when you look at that, and you look at that map, I mean, it is like a UFO paranormal highway.
Absolutely.
I mean, it goes right through the center of the state, crosses over Area 51. Why do I understand that?
Check this out. It goes all the way to Göbekli Tepe.
Yeah.
The 37th parallel, not close, goes right over Göbekli Tepe, Turkey. It's there's something about the 37th parallel, no doubt. And
and I think the first guy to really notice that and get into it was Chuck Zukowski out in Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And I know his research is continuing, and but I seen somebody else was working on it. I just don't remember who it was. But that's interesting, that, when you look at the explosion, what I call the explosion maps, where somebody just pinpoints all the sightings, and they put it on there for like 50 years. Well, I'd rather see it month to month or year to year. But, there are certain areas of the country where it just seems like it's all coordinated. Like you have this southern Florida, or it'll be northern California, or it'll be northwestern Washington State, or dead center Texas. I mean, you just have this conglomeration of just a huge amount of sightings. And when you think of Texas, the Stevensville sightings. I mean, they were horrendous.
When we were talking earlier, one of the things that I think is important for what you are doing is, and what this show is about, is I think for some reason, I know, when I go and speak and I look at groups of people, we're missing a generation. There's a group that's missing.
Yes.
And what can we do? I think that one of the reasons why that group, that middle ground is missing, and so, a younger crowd too, is because I don't think with television, certainly there's no shortage of UFO programming. There's plenty of stuff on the radio, and it's all over the internet. So maybe they're not necessarily going to conferences anymore, and they're getting their fix from elsewhere. I don't think the interest in ufology has, in fact, I think it's grown. But what can we do and what are you doing to attract that missing chunk, that middle ground?
Well, you can only talk about Roswell so many times, and people they either believe it or they don't. That's like I said to you earlier, I got 10 books here on Roswell. Which one do I believe?
Right.
I think that's one of the reasons that a lot of the conferences are really low right now. They need to start discussing the things that are happening today. What happened yesterday? What's going to happen tomorrow? How does disclosure look? What's the abduction scenario? How's that going? What group should we be contacting? Who should we be contacting? But I do notice one thing and I notice it on my end, I can't speak for any other groups, but we get a lot of information requests from younger folks, and when I say younger, I'm going to say in that 25, 35 range.
Mm-hmm.
And, they may ask something about an older case like the Dyatlov Pass incident, or they may bring up the Todd Sees case, or they'll bring up Kecksburg, or they'll ask about, some Florida case, or they want to know about undersea UFOs. But they're asking questions that you normally don't hear about at a conference.
Such as?
So that tells me that, the conference venues need to change and start talking about stuff that people want to talk about. And this is nothing against the guys that do the conferences, but how many times can you go up and you talk about Roswell?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
How many times can you get up there and talk about, a certain case that everybody's probably heard a dozen times, read every book that was ever printed, and can read all about it on the internet, but they don't know nothing about the 5 sightings that happened above their town 3 years ago.
Right.
Because nobody looks in that direction. So I think there's a group of individuals coming along. They're smarter. They're tech savvy. They know how to use equipment. They know that, you're not running out there with a ballpoint pen and a pad and a ruler and a pair of binoculars.
Right.
They know that you need infrared and you need this, you need a good camera, preferably fully automatic, preferably 16 megapixel. They know all that stuff. So, when you go back to the 60s, when you talk about the guys back in the 60s, of course, they didn't have that stuff. They relied on their foot, get out and walk around, look, research at the newspaper, research at the library, and all that stuff. So those guys have gone. A lot of them have left us. And there just seems to be this lull that has gone on for a pretty long while now, But that seems to be going away because there just seems to be more interest. And I see it in the emails that I get. I mean, they're not asking about something that happened above their town. They may be asking about a case that, could I help them research something in Iowa? Sure, why not? We'll help anybody. I don't care who they are. I mean, if they want assistance or if they need some research done or for us to look at a photograph or something like that, I mean, we'll do it. No problem. We don't charge anybody. We don't take donations. But one of the things is that we will share information with everybody, and that's something the UFO crowd, the mainstream UFO crowd, does not do.
Well, I also think that the younger generation. Well, you and I were talking about contact in the desert, and we had a contest here and gave away a bunch of tickets, and the Fadernauts came out, and our group there was about I'm gonna guess and say we had about 10 or 15 Fadernauts out there, and we were definitely, and I'm going to say this with pride, young. Okay, we were young, and there was a lot of young people there at Contact. But what I mean is, our little group, we were, and I felt our presence. We were a younger, hipper, fresher kind of thing that was going on at Contact in the desert. But our group, everybody that was with us, was super knowledgeable, and they weren't there to question if we are being. No, their belief was steadfast and 100% solid. They were just there to hang out and communicate with other like-minded individuals. The question of whether we are alone or not, no, that has nothing to do with it.
No, that's a thing of the past. That going to conferences before I started speaking at conferences, I heard that a lot. Well, how many people here believe in UFOs? Well,
Right. I want
that thing is that's long gone. I mean, people believe, they see, they've seen, they have reports, or they're involved with a group that does that, whether it's paranormal, cryptozoology, or ufology. It makes no difference. I know there's some groups out there try to tie the three together, and that way may well be, but I mean, I haven't seen proof of that. And one of the things that I tell these researchers or people that are interested is I always tell them, I said, look, extraordinary claims need extraordinary evidence. Stories are a dime a dozen. You'll hear hundreds of them. You want the evidence. No matter what you got to do to get it, you got to get the evidence to prove it. Because if you go out there and you say that, hey, I solved the Dyatlov Pass incident, very famous case. If I don't have the evidence, you'll be the laughing stock on the internet for the rest of your life, and maybe the afterlife. And so research, background, I don't care what I mean, if you're investigating a paranormal investigation or Bigfoot or UFOs, if you get a sighting report, start looking for other reports. See if there were other similar reports in that area. That go back. Don't just look at day before yesterday. Go back a year, 2, 3, 5, whatever you have to do. Same thing with the paranormal. I mean, when these people go into a house, they should have, when the house was built, they should know who owned it, how much it sold for, did anybody die in the house. I mean, there's just so many things. They can get that all through tax records, which is free. You can get all that information at libraries. It's free. So you don't have to beat yourself to death on the computer. I mean, libraries and your tax office, they have all that information. Not so much with ufology. I mean, ufology, you really got to just research cases or get a hold of other researchers in that area. I mean, even though some groups have rules and regulations that you're not to disclose or share information with other groups, there are groups that do share. And those are the groups you got to hook up with and just ask them, hey, look, did you ever have anything like this? Or is this strange? Or here's a picture that I really need to have somebody look at. I don't know what it is, but it's a good picture. We've got a small fortune invested in Photoshop CS6, and I can take a picture apart in a matter of minutes. And there's just some I can't. I mean, there's just some I can't, whether they're paranormal or whether they're on the ufology end.
You bring up a really good point, and that is today. I think that everybody believes. There is an I want to believe. I don't think that's the frame of mind today. Mm-hmm. And certainly if you're under the age of 40, we talked about this. If you're the under age of 40, I'm going to go in the 99 percentile there. Everybody knows that we are not alone, period. Right. End of story. Whether we have been visited yesterday, that's another discussion. But as far as us being alone in this universe, Philip Glass wouldn't have a career today. He could not sit and debate on a panel today. And no, he could then. We didn't have that, the knowledge that we have today. It's a whole nother party today. But I firmly believe that there isn't a case for us being alone. That side of ufology and that type of debunking and skeptics, no, that crowd is thinning, and it's thinning really quickly. It's, how do we, and I think, most, when I say kids, 15 years old, 20 years old, 21 years old, you go up and you talk to them, there's no question about if we're alone or not.
No.
And a lot of them have an extreme amount of knowledge. What they need to do is they need to, get together and share information. What I think, and this is my question leading up to it, sorry for the long lead in, is I think that there was a lot of a jealousy and ego that came into play in ufology in the 60s and the 70s, and sharing of information. No, everybody kept their secret stuff to themselves. Today it's a different story, and certainly with the internet. And I think now today researchers are more open, and I think the ego is being taken out of the play.
Well, the egos are being challenged.
Yes,
is what's happening. They never had anybody challenge them before. I mean, they walked around. Those types walked around like they had the map to the lost Dutchman mine, and they got nowhere. And they intimidated a lot of people. But now it's just like we were talking about earlier. These people today are smarter. These researchers out there, they know what they're doing. They know what they're looking for. They're searching out other researchers or groups that they can either join or help or get information from. So they're not relying on, the number one researcher in the world. Now they've got their iPad is filled with names and addresses of people they can contact to get information from. And although the egos still play, they don't play like they did, like you said. I mean, at one time you couldn't. You wanted to talk to one of these guys on the phone and ask them what day it was. They wanted to send you a bill.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore. Well, we won't put up with that. No. I actually had a guy, check this out. I called a pretty famous guy. And I know that, this show is starting to become important. And so pretty much, anybody that I call, well, we know each other now, and it's easy. Yeah, sure, Jimmy, I'm available. You tell me when. But I got this guy on the phone. And I was like, okay, I have an open day next week. I have an open day in 2 weeks. What's your schedule? And he literally said to me, buy my book first. I said, excuse me? Buy my book. You can go to the website, buy my book, and then we'll talk about me coming on the show. And I just stopped. You know what? That was 4 months ago.
You haven't gotten the book yet, have you?
No. And I'm just like, what? Why would you? There's no need to. There's no need for that. First off, but second, if you have information to share, come on the show and share it with our audience. It's not about buy your book. Buy one book. You want me to buy you to come on to the show? $20 is
I've heard this before from other radio shows.
Yeah, that's your appearance fee is $20. And so now, has he been on the show? Nope. Has he contacted me since? Yep. And that's the end of, that's I couldn't believe it. And we've had guys on the show that matter. that, I have called Stanton Friedman in the morning. In the morning, Stanton, I had a cancellation today. What time do you want me on, Jimmy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's go. I'm out here.
And there are those researchers out there. And I've personally ran into one where I had contacted, I'm going to say he's a pretty famous researcher. And I had asked him a question about 2 reports here in Pennsylvania. And he's not in Pennsylvania, by the way. But I asked him about 2 reports in Pennsylvania. And he said, there's a fee. And I was taken back a little bit, and I thought about it a minute, and I said, wait a minute. So you have the information that I need, which you got for free, and now you want to sell me that information. He said, well, yeah, this is a business. And I went like, hey, thanks, nice talking to you, goodbye.
Yeah, right. Oh, man, I would love that phone call.
Oh, God.
Okay, give me 5 questions, and let me figure out who this was. Can I do it? That's crazy. No, I'm playing. That's not this. This ain't that kind of show. But it's really incredible to me, and I try to weed out the ego. I just don't have time for it. I really don't. I don't.
I just don't. It has never garnered anything. I mean, okay, so you get on television, so you get in a movie, so you get in a documentary, so you write a book or 2 or 3 or 10. You get all kind of conferences. You fly first class, get first class hotel rooms and big time meals and this and the other thing. That has not advanced our knowledge base or our cause one iota.
Nope.
It hasn't moved us anywhere. It made you happy.
Right.
I mean, you're sitting there sucking on a martini, eating a steak, and somebody's going to hand you a fistful of cash to stand up there for 1 hour or sometimes only 45 minutes. And you walk out fat and happy, and everybody in the audience is standing there scratching their head because they heard this story 5 times before, and they just realized that they just paid $25 or $45 or more than sometimes over $100 to sit there and listen to the same story again.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that has caused, in my opinion, that has caused a down attendance at a lot of these conferences. A number of conferences this past year were canceled. Mm-hmm. They just couldn't get the sales.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And my idea of a conference is just, and we talked about that today, is a round table. Just get a bunch of good, honest researchers to sit there at a table and put the audience out there and have somebody walking around with a mic and let them ask us what we're doing. Mm-hmm. Conferences aren't made for guys like you and me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Conferences are made to tell people what we're doing, what we found, and what we're looking at.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what they want to hear.
Well, I did a couple of shows with Steve Murillo, and mm-hmm. we and just like I did a Contact in the Desert too as well. But I did the radio show live in front of a studio audience, a couple of hundred people, and one of them was with Richard Dolan. Mm-hmm. And Richard and I talked about it, and I said, "Hey, look, why don't we do this live in front of a studio audience? And I'm going to pull you out of the box, and you're not going to do your standard presentation. You're not. I am going to drill you for 3 hours, and then we'll bring up the studio audience and let them ask you questions." And he said, "You know what, Jimmy? That's a great idea." And it was one of the coolest things, because we've all done the seminars, we've all done the conferences, and although they have their place, and I get that, and I speak at them too, so there's nothing wrong. But to turn the table, to have the audience sit there and not have a presentation that has been done in another city, in a previous city, in a previous city, and your Microsoft slideshow. And we just sit and have an open-ended conversation. And I thought it was great, and it went off great. And now I've done 3 of those this year. I love it. I love watching the audience's reaction to it, because it's like there's like this show, like you and I sitting here talking right now, and to do that in front of 200 people. Well, right now we're doing it in front of a large audience, but to sit there, it's not the same old thing. And I totally agree with you. just having a round table and going at it without a Microsoft slideshow in the background and just going through the motions.
Yeah, not the suit and tie with the vest and, the shiny shoes. Show up in sneakers, blue jeans, and a sweatshirt.
Yes.
And you sit down and just throw your stuff on the table and just open it up and say, this is it. What do you need? What do you want to know?
And that's
what can we do? What do you think we should be doing? Here's what we found out. Here's what we know. Here's what we don't know. I mean, there's so many questions. And when we did that little thing out in western Pennsylvania, it shocked me because it was kind of impromptu. And I thought, we'll be here for 10 or 15 minutes. Everybody will get bored and walk away.
Right.
Well, I not only got stung by that one, which turned into a few hours, but I spoke in Cleveland with the Cleveland Ufology Group, which is, by the way, the oldest UFO group in the country. And I was supposed to speak from 7 to 8. Or 8:30, something like that. I got done at 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning. We actually broke somewhere around, I believe, 10 or 11 o'clock to go eat. Everybody was getting hungry. So we went to a restaurant and ate and then went back at it. So, and the conversations continued the whole time through the meal. So it was like this never-ending, I'm going to say, speaking engagement. And these were all seasoned investigators. Some of these people have been with this group since it started. I mean, some of the original founders, they still have their meetings monthly. I find that amazing. And they have a nice group of young folks there, younger folks.
Right.
And these younger folks over the years have now become seasoned investigators. And sure, I'd love to have a group in every state in the country. A little hard to do because, I don't advertise or anything like that. People just call up, want to do it, and we talk, and then and say yeah, okay, or no, one or the other.
Well, I think you're onto something, and you and I actually see eye to eye on this, and I totally agree. A good, fresh approach. One of the things that I've never liked, outside of ufology too, is going to a seminar, no matter what it's on. It could be a sales seminar. And you go and you watch somebody start their presentation, and I'll stand in the back of the room and I'll watch, and it's the same old. And no matter what the subject is, and those people that are leaving, what did they gain? What did they learn? What was fresh? What was new? There was nothing, no interaction, no questions, nothing there. And just like this radio show, I will not, go through. There has to be a way to approach things with a fresh outlook, and that's exactly what you're doing. I think that's great. Let's take a quick. Let me do a station ID. This is Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network, bespoke radio for the masses. I am your humble host, Jimmy Church. We are talking with Butch Witkowski. And now, I want to get into the Todd Sees case. But before we do, and there's so much, I'll say this about the Todd Sees case. I remember hearing about it. Oh, okay. Hold on. Just don't hold me to this. I'm going to say 2003. Okay, that's 2002, 2003 when the case broke. If I'm
2002 is when it happened.
Okay, good.
And 2003 is, I guess, when it really broke.
Okay, so my brain is still intact. That's all that I care about. It was such an extraordinary. Here you have all of the elements of a perfect movie. You have death, intrigue, body. UFO sighting, missing, search party, everything that you would want for something is all involved in the Todd case. Now, I don't know the latest developments, and that's what that's what I'm going to talk to you about. We're going to take a lot of time with that. Before we get to that, what is it that you're give us a couple of interesting cases that you've been working on as of late?
Well, number one, of course, the Todd Sees case. That we're on our fifth year with that one.
Mm-hmm.
Kecksburg, we just started looking into about 8 months ago.
Why would you get back into Kecksburg?
Well, there's just too many things missing there.
There's a lot missing.
But one of the things I'd like to say to any future researchers out there, when I say do your homework, one of the things you really have to look for is when people say something, whether it's a witness or an investigator or a newspaper or a radio show or anything, try to find the proof of what they're talking about. I mean, the Carbondale case is a prime example of that. Carbondale's case was the lantern in the water.
Yes.
And the guy that did the investigation pretty much made a jerk out of everybody that ever talked about it. I mean, he became a Class A skeptic. And, I mean, if you mentioned it, he just took you apart on the Internet like you were a cheap suit. And we went up and looked at the place. And at that point, I didn't have his report or anything. I'm just looking at the stuff that he's saying happened the way it happened. And I'm looking there, and we stood there, and we looked around, and I said, I just don't think that what he's saying is right. I mean, it just can't be. So a little of this, a little of that, and about two and a half years later, we came to the conclusion. But I got a hold of his original report, which kind of shocked him, because he did call me on the phone and ask me why I was even investigating it, because it was a hoax. And I said, well, I can't deal with 45-year-old memories. That's impossible. I said, but I can probably forensically prove one way or another if that lantern went into the water. So we got the original lanterns. We got 6 of them. We got the original batteries. We got everything that was there that took place. We went back a number of times, got a hold of the manufacturer of the lantern, got a hold of the manufacturer of the battery, and I got his report. And, you know, when you read the skeptical end of his statements, I mean, it was like he was there for 3 days. Well, when you get down to it and do the timeline on it, the guy was there for 2 hours and 35 minutes. But yet he did all this stuff. Why was NASA calling?
Right.
Why was Washington involved in this lantern case? Why was a police officer emptying his revolver when he gets to the scene into the light in the water? Now, I don't know any police officer that would see a light in the water and not think that maybe a car's in there or, you know, something's not quite right. But I don't think any police officer would pull his service pistol and empty it at the light. Then he said the light was moving from here to here to here to here, and the current was moving it. Well, there's no current in a silt pond. We took a paper cup and stuck it there, and it just floated in front of us. It didn't go anywhere. We took water samples. We took radiation samples. We took photographs. We took measurements.
What did you find? Radiation.
Whatever went into that water was not a lantern. And he said, well, there was no place you could possibly get a vehicle in, because a lot of people said a vehicle come in, remove something from the water on Sunday night and took it out. And he said, well, there's no place you can get out of there. Well, that's true. But if you walk around those piles of old silt that are there, I found a road that I could drive 2 tractor trailers side by side through, all the way out to Main Street.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I went to the other end of the pond, and there was another big pile. Walk behind that pile, and there's another road that goes out to Main Street. And I mean wide roads, because they used to drive these ukes and stuff up there, big equipment. So we checked with they said the light was on for so many hours, this, that, and the other thing, but when they pulled it out, it was all corroded inside and this, that, and the other thing. So I got a hold of the battery manufacturer, talked to them, described what battery I had. The guy was familiar with that type of battery. And I told him, I said, this is how it's found. I'm going to read you exactly what the report said. It was found corroded, and it was leaking substance, and I just need to know from you how long this lamp would have been lit. He said the lamp never would have been lit. He said the continuity was gone. So he said the lamp was never lit. I said, okay, so the lamp was never lit. It didn't happen. He said, how long was it in the water? I said, 12, 14, 18 hours, something like that. And he says, no. He said it wouldn't corrode that quickly. He said you could throw a battery in the water, and he said months, maybe even a year or so before it starts to corrode like that. He said if it was like that when they pulled it out, he said it was like that when it went in.
Susquehanna
was this out of the water?
Real quick, Susquehanna County.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we found the same elements with the Todd Sees case. When I first read the case, and Peter Davenport broke the case in 2003. When I first read the case, we just had to go up there. We had to look. We had to see what was going on. We had to pull everything we could. So, and like I said earlier, I had this little itty-bitty half-inch binder, which had mostly his report. And then we started looking, and we started trying to get information, and we started getting this. Well, nobody could get the autopsy report. Nobody could get this, couldn't get that. We were getting different statements from the coroner. We got different statements from the police. And when that stuff started happening, I knew we were onto something. So we just kept at it and kept digging. So I started the cold case unit, and I used one of my guys in Florida. Well, he lived in California at the time, but now he lives in Florida. And he did a lot of the legwork on it, a lot of work on Facebook and Twitter and talking to people, family members and this. But the guy's actually a trained forensic who's working for his degree in law enforcement as a forensic scientist.
Now, are we talking Carbondale, or are we talking...
We're talking Todd Sees.
Todd Sees, okay. Well,
yeah, Carbondale, we proved, look, it wasn't the lantern in there. We have one picture of the light. So everything that... We disproved everything in his report as opposed to what he was saying skeptically on the internet. And, we haven't been challenged. So I guess we're right.
Okay. And so
with Todd Sees, it was the same thing. We were getting just stupid stuff. I mean, just why would a coroner say that he wasn't the coroner at the time of the death when he was the coroner at the time of the death?
Yeah.
Okay, the coroner said, this takes place in 2002. We contact him in 2012 or 13, and he says to us in writing, and all this stuff from him is in writing, that he was not the coroner at the time, it was the previous guy. Well, we can't locate the previous guy, who could be dead for all I know. But I said, I'm talking to my investigator, I'm like, wait a minute. He was appointed coroner in 2001, a year before the Todd Sees case happened. So he had to be the coroner. Well, and, we got hee-hawed around about that. So then we asked him if we could get a copy of the autopsy report.
Okay. This is where this case, for me, took a strange turn. We can't go there yet.
Talk about a strange turn.
Yeah. Let's slow down.
Okay, so
we need to. Well, this is what I want to do, Butch, if that's okay.
Sure.
I want you to tell everybody what the Todd Sees case. Start at the beginning.
Okay.
Start at the very beginning when he left his house, and then we'll jump into the craziness that happened afterwards.
Alrighty.
But let's start from that morning, and let's go for the next 2 days with the search party. Exactly. Let's set up because it's brilliant. I mean, it's what do I want to say? Epic, is that the right word? It's got all of the elements. Yeah. Okay. Start from a lot of people haven't heard about the Todd Sees case. It's not. Well, you know what I mean. It's like you said, they want to talk about Roswell. They want to talk about Rendlesham.
Yeah.
They want to talk about Bob Lazar. They want to talk about Travis Walton. All important cases. All important. Todd Sees is a case that is not, it's not on the front page news as far as ufology goes. But
the case begins on August the 3rd of 2002. Todd is last seen alive at 1 a.m. in the morning. By who, we do not know. We assume a family member. He leaves the house approximately between 5 and 6 a.m. to go spot pre-season deer on Northumberland Ridge in Northumberland, Pennsylvania, where he lives at the base of that ridge. He gets on his four-wheeler, and he goes and tells the wife he'll be back at usual time, which is usually around noon.
How old was he at the time?
39.
Yeah, 39. Okay.
And so Todd jumps on his ATV, and he takes off. Well, 12 o'clock comes, 1 o'clock comes, 2 o'clock comes, no Todd. Wife gets a little nervous, calls the police. Police notify the fire department, and pretty soon there's a full-blown search going on, and there's like 200 people out there. Fire, police, state police helicopter, dogs, cadaver dogs, search dogs, family members, the whole 9 yards. Now, the first day, they do find his ATV, and the ATV is exactly 1 mile to the house, from his house. No key, no damage.
Yeah,
full of gas.
Full of gas, clean. Yep.
And the reports of the boot up in the tree, they said there was a boot. One of his boots were up in a tree. We're still trying to confirm that. We've confirmed a lot of stuff that went out there as being either positive or negative, but this is one of the things we just haven't settled on yet.
Okay.
So The search continues till dark, and of course, no Todd. Next day, at first light, the search continues. Everybody's out in full force. Helicopter.
There's like 200 people in the search.
It's over 200 people.
Yeah, 200 people, and they're covering.
They've got a diver diving a pond in the back of his yard. They've got cadaver dogs. They've got search dogs. They've got family members on vehicles. People walking around. I mean, it must have been chaos. Now, nobody hears him. Nobody sees him. He doesn't hear them. They don't hear him. I mean, they come up with nothing.
Also, the dogs. This is my memory working here, so please correct me if I'm wrong, but they didn't pick up any scent or anything around the ATV.
They had articles of clothing from the house,
right,
to get his scent. They got no scent at all. And cadaver dog, which I work with in the past, they'll find a body under 6 foot of dirt.
Sure.
And cadaver dogs found nothing. Diver found nothing. So they close it down for the night. So that's the second day. Getting ready to close it down for the second day. And there was a bit of rain. And when I say a bit of rain, a family member told us it was a downpour. That's why the dogs didn't smell anything. But Todd is found 150, 200 yards from his back door under a fallen tree. In his shorts, T-shirt, and socks. Now, to back up the bus just a little bit, a UFO report on the same day by 2 fishermen and a farmer in a field which is adjacent to his property state that they see a object of some sort above the power lines, because there's a big power line, these big wide power lines go up through the mountains. And they see what they say what looked like somebody being pulled up in the beam wearing their shorts and a T-shirt, underwear and a T-shirt. Now, how does that come out? So they find the body, and like 9 different people have claimed that they've identified him yet, or so far we haven't. Like 9 people said they identified the body. So you can toss that up in the air.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think he was a local fella, very involved with Little League, truck driver for a bakery. From what we can find out, he was pretty much liked by everybody. Nobody had a bad word to say about him.
Mm-hmm.
And he's pronounced at the scene. And that's pretty much where the story ended.
Well, okay. Now, this is my memory.
Mm-hmm.
Like Dyatlov Pass,
mm-hmm.
he had a look of terror on his face. Can you confirm that?
Well, that's. I'm going to say no, because, well, it depends what somebody would call terror. When we got the information from the coroner, which we had to buy, by the way, it should have been free, but we had to pay for it. When we got the autopsy report, the condition of the body is unbelievable. I mean, this body was in advanced stages of putrefaction.
In only 2 days.
Well, actually, yeah. Well, I forget how many hours it came out to, but 37.8 hours, something like that.
Yeah, I heard that he was emaciated. He was emaciated, right? It was like he was.
He was just
dehydrated.
Putrefaction. I mean, the body was. This was not an open casket body.
Right, right.
So the coroner says that he places death at 24 to 36 hours from the time he went missing. So if we use that time, and you think about it, it's a very short time, this is the first documented case of a zombie walking around Northumberland Ridge with 200 people and dogs and everything else looking for him, but he's dead. He has been for 24 to 36 hours. He's only missing 38 hours.
Right.
And nobody has an answer for that one yet. When we got the report, it said he passed away. The post was done on 8/6. at 11:45 in the morning. So where was the body when it was picked up from at 7:40, I believe? From then to there, like 14 hours. We don't know where the body was. We have no idea. But the cause of death is listed as cocaine toxicity.
And the you had to wait, if I remember that we had to wait like a couple of months for the toxicology to come back. Yes. Wasn't his body? There was something else strange of where he was found.
Filled. I mean, the body was loaded with abrasions on his legs, arms, forehead, chest, top of his head. But the interesting parts were he had no internal trauma. There was nothing wrong with heart, liver, brain, no hardening of the arteries. I mean, this guy was as healthy as a horse. But, going through all that and what they did at the autopsy and how they, did all the testing and all that stuff really didn't stand out as much as the toxicology report. Because we got that. Well, we got the first page of it. They didn't tell us exactly all what they did, but they gave us the first page. And in that, the amount of degraded cocaine in this guy's body, when I talked to other forensic physicians about this, and we've talked to two that are very well versed in cocaine overdoses, this guy wouldn't have taken 10 steps, let alone marched around the woods for all that 38 hours.
Wasn't his body like dropped into some bushes?
It was actually on his property, just beyond the pond, in a clump of what you call briar bushes,
that he couldn't walk into.
Heavy brush.
Right. Could he?
And he was laying face up in his shorts, t-shirt, and socks. The camouflage jumpsuit that he had was not found, and that gets a little weird in a minute. But no shoes. They never did find the keys. Talking to family members, we're getting a lot of information, but not a lot of information, if you know what I mean. They were just seeing what we knew, and we knew stuff that they didn't, and all that happy. As a matter of fact, they denied us even having the coroner's report, but we sent them the face copy of it.
Somebody just tweeted.
Now they know that we have it.
Hey, Butch, somebody just tweeted, what was the temperature outside?
The temperature was, I have that right in front of me here. The temperature on the day he went missing was 96 degrees. And the next day when they said they had this terrible downpour, it was 89.7 degrees. We checked the date through the weather stations here in Pennsylvania, that we can go back to the University of Pennsylvania and get all the weather for that particular day and that particular time and that particular location. And the rain that fell was 0.01 inch. That doesn't wet my driveway.
Right. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 tweets here from different people, all asking the same question, which is crazy. Was the body radioactive?
No, there's nothing in the autopsy. This was basically your typical drug overdose type of autopsy. There was nothing done out of the unusual or done unusually. Everything that I've read, the circumstances, the description of injuries, the external, internal investigation. I mean, everything, like I said, this guy was perfectly healthy. We can find no background on this guy as far as drug use. And the one, like I said, he was very involved with Little League, and the one guy that we did talk to from Little League said, look, if we had a hint that he messed with drugs, he'd never get 10 feet in front of these kids.
What's your explanation for the level of cocaine in his system?
That we have no idea, but it was massive. It was not somebody took a little snort and this, that, and the other thing. The amount of degraded cocaine would be for somebody found usually in somebody that would be a really hardcore user.
Right.
And this guy wasn't.
Could it have been injected into the body after his death?
Good point. Where was the body for 14 hours?
Right.
And, so it gets a little weirder. In the autopsy, we found this statement by the coroner, who writes to the person that did the autopsy, the doctor that did the autopsy, and says to her that the family found the clothing, that the clothing was found, and that there was cocaine in the pocket, and it was remanded to the police. Now, the family says that's bull, because we found the clothing. We were looking for the keys, not only the clothing, but the keys for the four-wheeler. We found the clothing, and there was nothing in the pockets. So, look, if it would have been my brother out there and I found his clothing and there was cocaine in the pocket, you think I'd have gave that to the police?
Right.
I mean, no, I stomped it into the ground and been done with it.
Right.
So when we were talking to the family, they freaked when we said that, that's what's in the report. So then we find out also through the autopsy report that the Point Township Police Department was never in charge of the investigation, yet they were the ones that were threatening everybody with lawsuits and arrests for telling everybody it was an open case and, this, that, and whatever, and you only keep an open case for murder. But they didn't even have the case. The case was handled by the Pennsylvania State Police. They were the ones that retained all the evidence from the autopsy, clothing, hair samples, nail samples, and a cocaine overdose. Why would you be taking hair and nail samples?
What was the reason for them taking over the case?
Well, not unusual. If it's a small police department, they don't have the wherewithal for a lab and the expenses that would take to do all that. So a lot of times a small department, which it was, would turn it over to the state police, but they never told anybody that. They just kept saying that we were dealing with them. They were the ones to deal with. They were handling the case, and it was not true. No more than the coroner saying that he wasn't there at the scene, that it was some other coroner, but he was at the scene. And not only does our letter back to him state that in his reply, but also in the autopsy it says that he was the one that pronounced him. And he's the one that also says that he was dead for 24 to 36 hours.
Were there any death scene photographs?
No, not at the scene. There were photographs taken at the autopsy, which we were told nobody would ever see those. But we had a forensic artist that's with our, works for our group, and we gave him a description of how the body was found and what it was wearing. So he made up a couple drawings for us, one with the tree, the body under the tree, and then he took the tree away and just had the body laying there. So we got that. And we're probably going to have him work on the autopsy itself if we can, because we have all the descriptions of the injuries and the sizes and all that stuff. It's going to take a little bit to get that done, but here's where it gets really weird. As though it's not weird enough.
Yeah, you read my mind, yeah.
So looking at his background, we can't find anything on this guy. He doesn't exist.
What do you mean? We
found his grave. We have pictures of the grave.
Wait. What do you mean he doesn't exist?
Okay. Well, the only thing we've ever found on him, and we didn't find it, somebody actually called in after a radio show that I did, along with Lon Strickler from Phantoms and Monsters, and said that I found his Social Security number. Now, she said, I looked at that website this morning, and it wasn't there. And she said, I went back and looked again, and it was there. So she gave us a Social Security number. Well, that allows us to get to a lot of stuff, So, because the Social Security number, once somebody dies, it's canceled. It's done. You can do anything you want with it, except use it. So, no military records, no marriage records, no records of any children, no records of any employment, no driver's license, no hunting license, no fishing license, no banking records, no work records, no hospitalization records, nothing. Zero, nada.
How is that possible?
It gets even better. So I went to the Social Security Death Index, and I pulled up my father, who died in 1970. And everything is there. My dad, when he died, what he died of, my mother's name, how many children, he was in the military, when he got in, when he got out, what high school he went to, where he lived, where he worked, telephone number. I mean, everything about my father is in the Social Security Death Index. So I put in his Social Security and pull his up. You know what's there? His name And underneath it, it says, no other records found as to marriage, children, or schooling, or anything.
How's that possible? How is that possible? A few years ago, joined one of those credit blocking, companies, protection companies. Mm-hmm. And I went and looked at my background there. It had stuff that I had forgotten about.
Yeah.
Going back to when I was very young, and addresses. I was shocked. I had all of my schools, elementary schools, all over the country. I was a truck
driver, right?
Yes.
I went back and pulled my driver's license information up through PennDOT. And I found my name. I was 16 years old. The date I took my test. The trooper that gave me my test. Type of car I was driving.
Right.
My date of birth. Where I attended school, where I lived, and my home phone number.
Yes, all of that was there. I could not believe
he doesn't have a driver's license in Pennsylvania.
But he was driving
nothing.
Right. But wasn't he a homeowner or
Oh yeah, we couldn't find property records. We couldn't find mortgages, banks, nothing. Court records. Oh, we did find one arrest record.
What about taxes?
We did find one arrest record, which is kind of funny. I sent that out to the investigators on the cold case unit. I said, okay, we got his Social Security number. We got this one arrest record, which was for a traffic ticket for speeding, going 5 miles over the limit. And it was in another small town close by, Selinsgrove. And one of my guys comes back and he says, the cop that arrested him. I said, yeah, what about him? He says, I played Little League with that guy. His dad was a trooper. They live right down the road. And I'm going like, well, that's unusual. He says, it's the same guy. I went, wow. He said, and that's all you came up with, a traffic ticket, which he pled guilty to and paid the $45 fine. And this is back in 1997 or 8, I believe.
Tax records?
Nope. Birth records? Nope. High school records? Nope. Military records? Nope. You name it. Nope.
I'll say it again. How is that possible?
There's only one group of people I know that could do that.
Go ahead. I'm ready.
It has to be something with the government.
Right.
I mean, who else could do that? I mean, the case is sealed. Well, why is the case sealed? Listen, I don't know what it's like in California, but here in the state of Pennsylvania, we probably have, I don't know, in the whole state, maybe 100 cocaine overdoses a day.
Right.
What's so special about this guy?
Right. The ability to run under the radar. Okay, you can do that to a certain point if you want to disconnect and go off the grid. But what you can't remove is your birth records, your Social Security, and then your trail through school.
When you look up his Social Security on the index, the death index, it has his number, his name, his age, the date he was born, year he was, not a date, but the year he was born and the year he died. And then underneath there's this line that says, no further information can be verified or documented on any family or kin to the above registered name. He has a mother, father, brother, sisters, kids. I think it's a decent-sized family. Nephews, nieces.
What about that traffic ticket? Wasn't there a driver's license number on that?
Nope.
What?
Nope. Should have been. I wrote enough of them.
We're at the top of the hour. This is Fade to Black on the Dark Matter Radio Network, bespoke radio for the masses. I am your humble host, Jimmy Church. We are speaking with Butch Witkowski. Butch, to wipe somebody's record clean, you were in law enforcement. Is that, is that possible?
No.
It isn't, is it? I mean, no. You would have to go through and erase at so many levels and so many different directions. Who's to say that he was born and raised in Pennsylvania? What if he lived outside of the state? You know?
No.
So what did you do in law enforcement?
A police officer investigating, everything.
Okay.
I was a corporal, so.
And how long were you a police officer?
Oh, from start to finish, a little over 16 years.
Okay, that's good. You didn't say 2 years. So with all of that experience, had you ever, well, you're going to say no, but is it possible to stumble onto something like this where you have a dead body that has absolutely no records? I mean, absolutely nothing.
No. Mm-mm.
That is fascinating. Fascinating.
I mean, it's at the point now where I don't even think he was on that mountain. I really don't.
Why?
I just, because for him to be on that mountain, we have to have, according to the coroner saying he was dead from 24 to 36 hours, we have to have a cadaver walking around that mountain, in a mountain that's very familiar to everybody that's searching for him, because it's a hunting area, okay?
Right.
His family knows where he goes. They go hunting with him. He's been doing it for many, many years. They could probably take you to his favorite fishing spot in a heartbeat. And this guy, people yelling for him. There's a helicopter above, state police helicopter searching for him. I mean, there's dogs. There's people on foot and whatever. They're running around looking for him. And this guy, with this amount of degraded cocaine in his body, is walking around on this mountain for 24 to 36 hours, but he's deceased. That's impossible.
It is. And you went to the scene.
Oh, yeah, we've been there a few times.
Okay, so did it look like when you were there, I know this is going to sound like a stupid question, but did it look to you like it would have been difficult to find the body?
No,
Yeah.
not where it was found. No, absolutely not.
That's my point. Where they found the body, you were there.
It's right behind the house. It's right behind the house. There's a pond. There's a little road that runs up right past the house. You can stand in the road and look at it. You can even see the down tree. I mean, it's pretty much down now, but I mean, you can see the tree where it's busted off.
Somebody just tweeted here. Let me back up here. This is from Donna Colvin. She just tweeted, Secret Service does this all the time for witness protection. When somebody goes into the witness protection program, this is, you were in law enforcement for 16 years. Somebody goes into witness protection. Do they don't necessarily, or do they? Do they just erase your history, or do they just give
move you?
Right.
I mean, if you're involved in a case in Pennsylvania, now he was from the state. I mean, he was from this area. The family's in the area. The brother owns a business. The other brother is on a county board of commissioners or something like that, the water bureau or something. So they're a long-standing family in the area. When you go in a witness protection program, say you witnessed a crime in Pennsylvania, and through your testimony, a bunch of really bad guys go to jail for many, many years. They will move that family, lock, stock, and barrel, into a new home, say in Southern California, with new name, new identity, new background, new job, new car, new money in the bank, the whole 9 yards. It's a whole new life from scratch. But that's everybody. I mean, everybody in the family goes. It's the wife, son, daughter, you, whoever, your dog. They'll change the name of your cat. Everything is gone. You don't exist anymore. This is not the case with this guy. This guy has family. We know he went to Shikellamy High School. We know he was on his tombstone, it's engraved from the Newry Little League. I mean, there's just so much stuff that says, this guy was a long-standing, what we think, an upstanding citizen. We checked with the drug abuse places up in that area. Did they ever have him in for treatment or this, that, and the other thing? And they said, never heard of him. The one lady was so kind. She said, if you can hold on the phone 15 minutes, she said, I'll go back in the records. She said, I'll do 2001, 2002, 2003, and I'll let you know. And she came back 15 minutes later. She said, no, I don't have anybody like that. She said, I went back to, a matter of fact, she went back to 99. And so if somebody had this bad cocaine habit, which the Little League said right out, hey, we would have known he was on that kind of stuff. He wouldn't have been near this. And he was an avid race fan, avid archer, fisherman, no fishing license, no archery license. Another thing was strange. When he went up on the mountain that day, that whole area that particular area is loaded with timber rattlesnakes. Just loaded. They have a roundup up there every year. They just collect hundreds of these snakes. Now, this guy goes up and he's wearing boots, socks, shorts, T-shirt, a camo one-piece jumpsuit. He has no knife. He has no snake kit, which I surely would carry. He has nothing. He doesn't even have a belt on to make a tourniquet. So,
and he's a hunter, and
he's a hunter. He would know all this stuff.
And he's on an ATV. He's on a four-wheel drive.
No binoculars.
Right.
I mean, just so many things are not right. And then one family member said, "Oh, he had a cocaine habit for years." I said, "Can you prove that?" "Well, no, he just did." "Well, how do you know that?" "Well, I just know it." I said, "Well, was he in treatment?" "No." I said, "So he had this really bad cocaine habit, but he had a nice house, he had a nice car, he had a good job. He was a big shot with the Little League for many, many years. He had a lot of friends. He went hunting, fishing." I said, "I don't understand." And they just kind of blew it off. So we've gotten a lot of good information, but we've also gotten a lot of disinformation and misinformation from the family.
Did you go to the high school?
We went through their records like Grant took Richmond. And we came up with nada.
What about a yearbook?
I've been trying to get one of those. Matter of fact, I found a site of a lady here in New Jersey that collects nothing but yearbooks and sells them on eBay. And I sent her an email, and I have a standing order for that yearbook.
And?
I can't get one from anybody up there. I mean, they see they see that van pull up and says UFO Research Center on the side of it. It's like, uh-oh, baddies are here, shut up. Although we have had some people come forward recently who have lived there all their lives, we're familiar with the case, and, have some contacts that we don't have that they're going to try to tap for us. So we'll see how that works out. But this, take this case in Dyatlov. You got two cases of absolute pure mystery.
You do. You do.
Pure mystery.
Now, okay. Now that we've set the stage for, and you painted a really beautiful picture for us all. In fact, I think we're all a little bit freaked out at the moment. Because, like I said at the onset of all of this, it's got all of the elements of crazy, of screenplay, of murder mystery, and everything else.
Yeah, you couldn't make this up.
No, it's incredible.
Everything that we have, for your listeners, everything that we have on paper from the people that we have the emails, we have the statements, we have the autopsy, we have the toxicology, we have the reports. Everything we have is from the people that we obtained it from. There's nothing in this file, in this binder, that other than notes that we've made up or contacts that we've put in or emails between ourselves, that is not done by people that were actually participated in the case and were family members.
Okay, now let's get to this UFO connection. You, seriously, when you mentioned it earlier, okay, there was a farmer that saw a disc with a beam that came out, and then you moved on. That's obviously the crazy twist in this case. So
okay, so we can't. We're probably going to never find the fishermen. I mean, they're not going to come forward. The farmer, he won't talk to us. We have two remote viewers working on this case. One in Australia, and one in the Baltimore area, Washington D.C. And they've come up with some pretty interesting stuff that all worked out. We are going to use just about everything we can think of. We have had since in that same area. Matter of fact, the last report was 7 miles up the road from Todd's house was a truck driver driving the highway. I think it's Route 732, driving up through there, and he witnesses a craft of some sort above the river, which the river is like if you were looking down at the scene, you have the river, a road, an embankment, a road, the farmer's field, and the power line straight ahead. Off to the left would be Todd's house, and the road goes into Todd's house, goes past his house, and up into the power line, which he probably did that when he was running on his four-wheeler. But it's very rocky terrain. Anyway, so the truck driver describes it as just a craft of unknown shape. He stopped. He pulled off the side of the highway with his tractor trailer. Tried to get a picture of it, but by the time he got his phone out of his holster and put the phone up, it was gone. But he said what he saw while he was driving before he pulled over was a craft with something looked like a flashlight beam shining down from the bottom. And that's the third case we have like that in the same area, within that 7-8 miles of his house.
Same description that the fisherman
Same description as the fisherman and the farmer. When
the fisherman and the farmer made their statements, who did they make those statements to? I remember, this is what I remember, Butch, and again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but those statements were there at the very beginning of the case, right? Am I right?
That's correct, yes. They were allegedly made to two guys that showed up in suits that were FBI, who gathered everybody back at the firehouse and said, we don't talk about this anymore, period.
So
we can't prove that. We can't prove the FBI was there. We've talked to them. They don't know anything about the case. The lady said, I'll look. And she said, I've been here a long time. She said, I don't remember anything like that. And she said, there'd surely be a record if our guys went out. I thought to myself, yeah, right. So we can't prove that the FBI was there. We did have correspondence with a nurse who was in the ambulance when the body was found and taken away.
And what did she say?
There's a difference there because the coroner said he removed the body, and the ambulance people say they removed the body. We have tried to get the fire department and ambulance records because my son was a fire chief for 25 years. And no matter what the incident was, whether it was a house burning to the ground, an accident, or a cat in a tree, there was an incident report made up.
Of course.
And they don't exist.
What?
For that day.
What?
Yeah, right.
That's impossible.
I know.
Well, everything in this case is impossible.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh, okay. But back to, so we have a body, we have an alien craft with beams, we have a crazy toxicology report. We have an obvious homicide, whether it was done by aliens or whatever, we don't know. And
we've had people telling us that Bigfoot did it.
Okay, well, that's on the table.
Sure.
I'm with you.
Hey, I'll put anything on the table.
Right, and now we have Men in Black involved too as well. And now we have a coroner that says he's removed the body. We have an ambulance that says they removed the body. What did the nurse say to you when you talked to her?
That's kind of ongoing, but I can tell you this at this point. When we contacted her, and how we got her name, I don't even remember anymore, but it was one of the guys in the cold case that got her name. And she's moved out of state. She now lives in Virginia. She lives in Southern Virginia. And we contacted her. She was a nurse. We could find her records online that she was registered here in Pennsylvania as a nurse and blah, 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 and that she was with the fire company and all this stuff. We found all that. She said she didn't remember the case. She doesn't know anything about it, and that was pretty much where she left us off. A month later, she calls back my investigator and says, have you found anything out about the case? Why would somebody who doesn't know anything call to find out if we found anything out?
I don't know.
That's weird.
That's very strange.
I mean, she doesn't know anything about it. She doesn't remember the scene or the circumstances, but she calls us back a month later and wants to know if we found anything.
Did you guys discuss anything further?
No. We keep trying to get a hold of her, but we're not getting any return.
Wow. Okay, I want to jump back to his wife. Does she still live in the house?
No, she moved.
Exactly. Who lives in the house now?
We don't know who the owner is now. We didn't really look into that since she moved. I think one of my guys is going to do a property search and see who owns it now. She didn't move far away. She's only moved down the road a few miles.
Have you talked to her?
No, she hasn't talked to anybody. Another strange thing. Nobody in this family, nobody in the immediate family has talked about this case. Not one. No brother, no sister, no wife, no kids, no nothing. And the only person that we've been contacted with, they've contacted us. We didn't contact them. They contacted us. Matter of fact, when I did a conference on, and his story was part of the conference early on when we knew very little, was a niece. And there's been contact back and forth with her and another person who is would have been his sister-in-law. And that was pretty much all we got from family, but nothing from the brothers, the two brothers, the father, the mother. I mean, even if everything that's out there was all wet, was just nonsense, you would think that somebody in the family would say, hey, wait a minute, look, that's not what happened. Here's what happened. Or, this is a lie. Or this isn't true. Nothing like that.
Yeah,
ever.
Some concern, some compassion.
Ever. Nothing, ever. Not one word.
Okay, now that begs to ask the question, why?
Yeah, why?
Well, I'm asking you.
No, I have no idea. I mean, I have no clue.
You've obviously spent a lot
either
of...
we're talking about, like I said, the first documented case of a real zombie.
Right.
Or we're talking about somebody that was taken off of the mountain and murdered. Or now, and that's another thing, when murder's brought up, when you think about the case as murder, at that time of the morning, in that remote area, up on that ridge, anybody in the world who wanted to do him in could have walked up, put a gun to the back of his head, and shot him, and walked away, and nobody would have known the difference.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
They could have walked up and hit him in the head with a hammer and walked away, and nobody would have known the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Because gunshots in that area during these, before deer season or, somebody just shooting snakes, you'd hear that almost round the clock.
You do.
So that would be nothing. So as far as murder, I don't think it was a murder, unless there was the implantation of the cocaine at the scene by persons unknown, and they just walked off. But the body was in that bad a condition, you couldn't have found a needle mark if you would have searched for days.
Of course.
I mean, the body was covered with nothing but scratches and lacerations and bruises. No internal damage, no broken bones or fractures or anything like that.
So it was like he was dragged around.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, like you dragged something around for, a couple days.
And how far?
But the part is the putrefaction of the body in that short a time. I mean...
Now,
this body had larvae that already made it through to the fly stage.
Right.
So that alone takes anywhere from 18 to 26 hours, according to entomologists.
How long do you think the body? It sounds like we're talking some kind of acceleration of breakdown of tissue.
Yes.
I mean, so. With the descriptions I remember when I first read about the case, it sounded like, this is my brain, but it sounded like the body was in decomposition for a couple of weeks or, a week when they found it. He had this extreme weight loss because I remember he was a healthy guy. He was an athletic guy and he was a big guy, but the body that they found was like mummified. Was not mummified, more putrefaction. The body, of course, was starting to shrink, and skin was starting to fall, to start to fall off. And that happens after a couple of days? It can't.
No, it doesn't. I mean, when I showed it to one forensic doctor. Okay, I showed him he read the autopsy report, and when he was all done, he closed the binder, put it down in front of me, and just looked at me and smiled. And I said, what does that mean? I mean, what's the smile? What does that mean? And he just looked at me and said, that's a crock.
Right.
But you didn't hear that from me.
Right.
That was it.
You've had
all this stuff that's been found out has been found out over a period of 5 years. So it's not like we get something every day. We may go months without getting anything. Then we'll get something. Or somebody will say something odd, or we'll see something, or we'll find something. But when you put the whole thing together, when you do a timeline, and you do a forensic timeline, it does not make one iota of any sense that I've ever, or a lot of other people haven't come across.
Do you get the feeling, I get the feeling that everybody there knows something?
Yep.
You get
Absolutely.
that feeling? Okay.
I think the family knows. I think the police know. I think the coroner knows. I think everybody knows, and nobody's talking. Now, why they're not talking, there's only one reason people don't talk, and that's fear.
And money.
Mm-hmm.
Fear and money.
And that's another thing. We couldn't find insurance on him. We couldn't find, we couldn't find any banking records at all. If the house was mortgaged or paid for, or, cars were owned, or we couldn't find any of that.
Well, how do you live? You live with money. Where does the money come from? Well, if you don't have a job, then you've got an inheritance, or there's a money trail. You cannot exist. He was on an ATV. How did he pay for that? How did that get registered?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing at all that exists that's great. Not in today's society. And
no.
And to go and erase something, well, can you erase it all? Is it possible?
It's just like the color of the ATV. We tried to find out what color it was. Nobody knew what color it was. The person in the family, or two people in the family, didn't know what color it was. You don't know what color it is, but you found it, but you don't know what color it is?
Oh, man.
Okay, so we traced it down to there are two ATV dealers in the area. One type of vehicle would be red, and the other type of vehicle would be kind of a mustard yellow, green, whatever you want to call it. And it took us 6 months to get somebody from the dealership to even contact us to tell us that, no, he didn't buy it here, which is possible. I mean, he could have bought it off the street. He could have bought it from a buddy at work. He could have bought it anywhere. But they didn't know anything about it.
Okay.
And that dealership from where he lived is about 18, 20 miles.
Now that you've had all this time to think, contemplate, theorize, dream, what's your gut? What do you think happened here? What can you? Well, no. Let me back up. I'll make it easy on you. What can you rule out?
At this point, I can't rule out anything.
Murder?
I really can't, because there's just too much missing. I mean, did he have enemies? Did he owe somebody money? Was he messing around with somebody's wife? Did Bigfoot beat the crap out of him? I mean, I don't know. I mean, was he taken up and dropped? I mean, no broken bones. And to get to where the body was, that's another thing. To get to where the body was, had he been alive, he would have had to crawl under that tree and then turn over on his back. Now, for somebody that's dead 24 to 36 hours, per the coroner, per the official report, that's not happening. I mean, we've had theories where we batted around, well, maybe the family did him in. Well, okay. So the family did him in, and then what?
Yeah, well,
they had the body hidden, and then overnight when everybody was gone except the family, they drug him back and put him under the tree. That doesn't explain the 24 to 36-hour cause of death.
Well, it doesn't explain the erasing of somebody's history in his life.
I mean, you can come up with this theory, but then the facts shoot that down. Then you come up with this theory, and the facts shoot that down. And you come up with this theory, and the facts shoot that down. So, I had a lady on a radio show say, she said, "You're never going to find out what happened." I said, "Oh, eventually." I said, "But it's just not right at fingertip." But as all humans are, they are human, and somebody will say something, or somebody will get, upset with the family, or something will happen. The information will come out. When it'll come out, I have no idea. But we're at it. I mean, we stay at it all the time.
What happens when you contact the feds, the big government, about this case? What are you told?
They don't know nothing about it.
Which is impossible.
They don't know anything. We had, I don't know how many Freedom of Information Act things we sent in, papers. We've had them come back for bad spelling.
Right. Yes. Yep.
We've had them come back for bad spelling, wrong location, wrong district, you name it. You name it. So the FOIA requests were just a waste of time.
It's
the original police chief. He's not there anymore. The trooper that investigated, he's gone. The doctor that did the autopsy retired. Doesn't even live in the state anymore. Don't even know where she went. So
it's feeling like he was abducted, he was experimented on, and the government knew about this in advance. That's what I feel. And he was selected, and the family was paid off and silenced, and the experimentation happened. Cocaine injected into a system post-mortem to write off the coroner report, buried in the ground, and the case is closed. And
yeah, here's another good one. Even though his heart was the normal size, showed no coronary artery disease, no pulmonary congestion or anything like that. Again, healthy heart. They couldn't get any blood out of the chest cavity. They had to get it from his leg.
I'm reading here. Let me see here. Jimmy, ask if today's conditions make it easier for conceal people to conceal. I'm sorry. Somebody's spelling in, bad spelling, and I read phonetically. So there you go. Ask him if today's conditions make it easier to conceal people this way, and if we should be worried about this trend being repeated.
Oh, I think it's been repeated quite a few times. I mean, we're just lucky enough that the newspaper up there sprouted this story, and Davenport picked up on it. Had he not done that and the newspaper stayed quiet, this case would be undetected.
Have you found...
And another thing, the newspaper people that we were talking to, the person that actually did the investigation for the newspaper...
Dead?
No. No, God, no. She doesn't return calls anymore. And when we went into the website for the newspaper, which had the original postings for the newspaper, they're not there anymore.
Oh, come on.
We got them. Okay. I mean, we got them. We printed them.
Okay.
But they're not there anymore.
What? Is that even legal?
Well, what are you going to define legal?
Pulling official public records?
Who's going to sue them?
Wow.
People are really quick to say sue, but people need to understand it. When you want to sue somebody, you better have a lot of money. No lawyer takes a case to sue anybody for free.
Do you think?
And with this case, I don't think I could find a lawyer that would even touch it.
Right.
After telling him what all's going on, what we found, what we have, and showing him the evidence, he'd probably go like, have a nice afternoon. But it's just, it's not that it's dead. I mean, we work on it all the time. I mean, there's many nights I'll sit here till 3, 4, 5 in the morning just reading the reports over and over and over, seeing if I missed anything or if I can add something to the timeline or there's something missing from the timeline.
Have you been messed with?
No. Mm-mm.
And nobody's called you up and told you to back off the case?
Mm-mm.
No spooks, men in black, vans outside?
Nope.
Haven't been followed?
Nope. I think if they would do that, they'd give me credence to the report. They'd add more credence to the report. So by staying away and not bothering and just ignoring, like the coroner did in the very beginning, and like the police department did, and like the district attorney did, when they kept telling us it was an open case, that they couldn't disclose that information. And they told us that even after we had the autopsy report. And my guy called them up and said, well, you're saying it's an open case. Well, if it's an open case, why do I have the autopsy report and the toxicology report? Oh, I'm sure you don't have the right one. He says, oh, I got the right one. And he faxed them the cover sheet also.
How far from Kecksburg was this?
This is on the northeast end of the state, and Kecksburg is on the southwestern part of the state.
Why wouldn't a case like this, and I'm sure you've thought about this, but why wouldn't a case like this that has all of the elements of intrigue, all of it, there's nothing that's been left out here, why isn't it been fully dived into by mass media? Why isn't it covered? It should be, besides Kecksburg, it should be one of the most famous cases in the state.
I think it would be more famous than Kecksburg.
Yeah, why isn't...
Kecksburg is just a lot of information with no proof. I mean, there's no paperwork, there's no photographs of the military being there. We've talked with people in the military and the Civil Air Patrol in that area, in that era, in that time period, who said we were never dispatched.
Right.
The guy even showed us a log. There's nothing on the log about Kecksburg or anything coming down in Kecksburg.
Why wouldn't why wouldn't this be just, fully dived into to get these answers?
Well, look, there's a lot of investigators out there that say they're researching the Todd Sees case. That's not true. I mean, all they're doing is either picking up stuff that we say or stuff that we put out or stuff that's been on the internet for years and years and years. This coroner surely isn't going to give out another autopsy report to anybody.
Somebody just...
Because he didn't know who we were. He didn't send that. That came from a private individual, which was one of our investigators. That was the idea of the cold case. When you walk up to somebody and you're walking into a case like this one, and you say, I'm from the UFO Research Center of Pennsylvania. Goodbye.
Done.
Yep, end of story.
Yeah.
But, when you got somebody calling up and saying, look, I'm a forensic student. I go to college. Here's where I go to college. And this case intrigues me. And I'm trying to, get some information. And this is what I'm looking for. And that went on for quite a while, quite a few months before he caved in and sold us the autopsy report and toxicology report.
You should see these tweets coming in. Liam just tweeted, I'm about to drive up there and crack some skulls.
We thought about that too, but that's not quite legal.
Now, there is there's a couple of actually very, very good questions here. Okay. Is it possible that he was dead way before this incident?
Yeah, that's possible. But then that would mean that the wife and family or whoever was there that said that they saw him last at 1 a.m. in the morning would be lying.
Oh, everybody's lying in this case.
Oh, yeah, sure. So, I mean, that's one thing that was brought up. I mean, that murder, Bigfoot, UFO, crime of passion. I mean, there's so many elements that you could say belong in this case, but pinning down that one element is an issue.
Yeah. All the simple stuff, crime of passion, jealous boyfriend, he lost his job, whatever, any of this stuff, that's all small. No, to erase somebody's life.
We can't find anything to justify that. I mean, we found no divorce records. We found no separation records. We found no marriage. We didn't find a marriage license. But, I mean, we found nothing that would indicate that was something that could have or would have taken place. So what we're sitting here with is this treasure trove of information and the statements on paper from the people that we got it from, whether it's an email or if it's a official paper. And, you're looking at this stuff. And I had one caller say to me one time, aren't you afraid somebody's going to come to your house and steal it? I said, they can steal it. They think that's the only copy. That's not the original copy. That's a copy I made. Steal it. I don't care. I got the original. But anyway, and they ain't going to ever find that. But one of the things is that, you can throw a lot of stuff at this case, whether it be crime of passion or whatever. And it's at the point now where it's starting to narrow itself down a little bit, where we can take some stuff and just put it off to the side temporarily because it doesn't make any sense at all. The biggest thing is the body, 24 to 36 hours dead, certified by the coroner, and the body's only missing 38 hours, and it's in the condition that it's in. That is pretty much impossible.
Yeah.
Even at 92-degree temperatures, okay, humidity, no way. We contacted the body farm down in Virginia, where they actually take cadavers and put them out to train forensic guys to see, underground, above ground, to see how they deteriorate and what happens to the body. I forget how many bodies they got out there. There's quite a few of them. And they're all fenced in so the animals can't get them. But we told them that. The guy said, that's impossible. He said it would take a lot more heat and a couple more days to get in that condition.
Yeah, I mean, that's just logic. I appreciate the fact that you confirmed it, but you knew the answer.
Mm-hmm.
You knew the answer before you even. I mean, it's just logic. Just says that the time. Something happened to the body. That's what happened. Something happened, and it just sounds. It sounds big. What I mean by that is for the government to go in and just erase somebody's complete history, no taxes, no schools, no job, no money, no bank, no phones, no bills.
And that's the thing about the Social Security number. I mean, while we're on the air talking about this where we can't find anything, and one person who was looking says it wasn't there earlier, and then she calls us and says, hey, guess what I just found? And she sends us his Social Security number. And she was on that same website looking, and it said it was not there before. And after or during this thing where we're talking, so was that put out there to make it sound like, well, the records are there, you just don't know where to look for them?
Yeah. Okay. I just got an email. This is from Ed. He says they erase him. They erase him to elude further investigators.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that makes sense too, as well.
Yeah, it does. Unfortunately, we're not giving up. So whoever they are, they're just wasting their time.
Here's another question for you. With all that you and your team have done to research and experience yourselves, how do you respond to skeptics who insist that there is no evidence for the presence of ETs? the age-old question, but there you go.
Okay. Have them look up the Brazil case, Guadaparanga Dam, where the mutilated body of the man was found back in '88. And they'll see a body with pictures and the autopsy report of a gentleman who was mutilated exactly, almost to the T, as cattle are. And all indications from the autopsy, which is the official autopsy from the police in Brazil, state that, according to what they found, and when they did the autopsy, that the man was alive when all this happened to him.
Yeah, I watched a video. I don't want to publicize this, but
no, that's not easy to look at.
No, it's not. I watched a video that was done. It was done in Great Britain about human mutilations and UFO activity, and that's one subject, it's very taboo. No matter what, very taboo.
Oh, yeah. Well, that doesn't make me real popular with the UFO crowd.
No, and it's tough to listen to. It's tough to see, but it's out there. Yes, it is out there.
It happened. And the fact that they could not get any blood out of this guy in the chest cavity, every autopsy I ever went to, the blood was drained from the chest cavity. But evidently this guy didn't have enough blood in the chest cavity, so where'd the blood go? Why'd they have to get blood from his leg?
You want to take a couple phone calls?
Sure.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to open up the phone lines right now with all of this activity on Twitter and email and everything that has come in. I'm sure that we can get a couple of quick phone calls in for Butch. 323-825-5045. The phone lines are open if you want to Skype in. I'm just disturbed right now. I can't even think. It's going to be a heck of a night in bed after this one. Is there 323-825-5045? Phone lines are open. Skype in, Fade to Black 14. Are there any videos? Are there any documentaries on Todd Sees that you would recommend?
No.
Why?
I don't know. There are none. I don't know of anybody that has or is at this point or has been even before this point actively investigated the Todd Sees case.
I will say this, we have a big audience out there, and already there's a lot of activity about going and checking this out. If anybody has any information on Todd Sees whatsoever, contact Butch or myself, and it sounds like there's a lot of unanswered questions. If you have anything to contribute, if there's anything that I certainly want to find out, and so does Butch. So you can contact both of us. Also, all of the links to Butch's website and all of his organizations around the United States are all there. Just click on his name, at jimmychurchradio.com. Take you right
Yeah,
over
if they
there.
hit the contact, it's called extraterrestrial contact page. That'll come direct. All they got to do is either hit the CCU unit or hit Pennsylvania UFO Research Center, Pennsylvania, fill in the information, whether it's a phone number or just information, and I get back to them. I check my mail and phone and all that stuff like religiously every few minutes.
Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. How are you? Who's calling? Where are you calling
Jimmy.
from?
This is Bear from Santa Clara.
Hi, Bear. How are you tonight?
All right, just having flashbacks of deja vu from like the 1950s sci-fi movies, you know, where they have these great big spiders that kind of look like, I can't remember the name of them. You know, big ones that come with the bananas.
Tarantulas. Yes.
Yeah, tarantulas. Giant tarantulas. They were, you know, they just come by and eat people up.
Is that, well, you know, actually, that thought kind of popped into my mind. There's something happened to the body, and I don't know if Butch really wants to quite to commit to this, but I'm feeling ET all the way around, and I normally don't go there, but it sounds like something. You know, Butch, what he's saying is, you know, when a tarantula, sucks the insides out of a body, you know, and that's what you have left. Like you were saying.
This guy's body is basically pretty much intact. I mean, other than the outside of the body, the condition, well, I shouldn't say that. The condition of the body inside is also at the putrefaction stage.
Right. Were fluids, but were the fluids drained?
No. The only thing that struck me strange in the autopsy report was that they didn't take blood from the chest cavity. They took the blood from the vein in the leg. But his ventricular system and his blood, everything was starting to degrade, but it was all the way it was supposed to be. The only thing that's other strange thing in the report was that on the head, the superior temporal regions, temple, occipital, there was a large abrasion and scratches that measured 8 inches by 6 inches.
On his head?
Ooh, I smell Twilight Zone, dude. Oh, bro. I'll let you go.
Thank you, Bear.
No problem, bro.
See, Bear's exactly right if you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's on the table.
Everything, sure.
Everything's on the table.
Yeah.
Now,
if this would be a normal average, if there is such a thing, cocaine death, there should be everything that we look for, we should find. It should be there.
How doesn't the blood coagulate? How could they?
What it does is starts to pool, causing postmortem lividomy, where the body pools in the lowest part of the body.
Right.
So if the body's laying on its back, all the blood will pool to. If he's laying on his back, all the blood will pool to the back, and then when you turn the body over, you're going to see blackish, bluish. Okay, that's in a kind of I'm talking about a body there at about 8 to 10 to 12 hours. When you start to get that area turning green and skin slippage, you're talking about a body that's 40 hours plus dead.
Yeah. Hi, Dino. Say hi to Butch.
Hi, Butch. How you doing? Very informative.
I'm doing fine.
Tonight.
Gino, how
Hi,
are you?
Jimmy. Happy birthday. I can't add much. You've been excellent tonight, Jimmy. You always are, but I can't really supplement your questions. I've learned a lot about this case tonight that I didn't know. All I can say and all I can add to the discussion is I still worry about poor Phil Schneider. When I looked into that case, and I was kind of late coming to it, and seeing how to me, I was obviously murdered for what he knew. And here was a guy that was in the public eye, and he was talking about all the secrets he knew about and the secret elements and metals and underground bases. Butch, have you ever looked into that case, and what could you tell us about poor Phil Schneider's murder?
Well, I agree with you. I believe
Thank
he was
you, Dino.
murdered. And we have an underground base here in Pennsylvania. So I had my little touch in with that. That cost me a computer, but it's called Rock Raven. It's an underground facility that borders Pennsylvania and Maryland. When 9/11 happened, that's where they say they took Cheney. It's like an underground command center in case the Pentagon and all that goes to crap. And I was playing around the computer one night and just looking at information, just from my own knowledge of what the whole deal was about. And next thing I know, my computer went dead, and when I took it to get it fixed, the guy said, "I don't know what you did, but there's nothing in it." So I told one of my investigators, and he pretty much thought I was crazy.
Right.
And he got his brand new Sony laptop out about a month and a half later, and he did it, and he has a new computer too.
Really?
Uh-huh. So I don't go anywhere near that site.
Wow, Rock Raven.
Yeah, Rock Raven.
With that, Dino actually brought up a very good question. When it comes to Phil Schneider, are there similarities here? Well, you know what? We can also learn from Phil Schneider's death and kind of take a look at Todd Sees, in that maybe Todd was involved in something with the government.
Very possible. I mean, as far as motive, I mean, if somebody would say to me, "Well, what kind of motive are we looking at here?" Okay, give me a pad and paper, and I'll start to put them out. Come back next week, I should have it done. I mean, you could come up with 100 scenarios what could have happened. He could have been a government informant. He could have been a government agent. He could have been the biggest drug dealer in the world. He could have been a loan shark. It's endless. I mean, you just go on and on and on and on and on. But we can't find anything. And talking with some friends of his who evidently grew up with him and everything else, they don't have anything bad to say about this guy. He didn't have a temper. There's no record of any wife or spousal abuse. There's no drunken orgies at the house. No background with drug abuse. The history just isn't there to come up with that kind of conclusion. I mean, right now, this guy was clean-cut, all-American boy.
As
far as we can find out, I mean, the only arrest record we came up with was a traffic ticket.
What's the next step? I mean, what do you do next?
Oh, we just keep digging for information. Just anywhere we can get it. Whether it's talking to people, we're going to be going up there again. Matter of fact, we're going to be holding a meeting with some other investigators from other groups up in that area, because there is a place not far from where he lives. I think it's 22 miles due west of where he lives. And it was a nuclear facility that was owned by Piper, and they were trying to develop a nuclear engine for aircraft. And it shut down in, I believe, 2001, 2002. It's still blocked off. It's still a secured area. I mean, you're not supposed to be in there. But, I mean, we even threw that up. Like, well, did he go up there hunting maybe one time and see something he should have seen, and somebody saw him, and then they got back to him later? I mean, there's all kind of scenarios. It just, you talk about a book or a movie, you could do that just on the scenarios.
I'm writing the book now. I'm on chapter 1. I'm on chapter 1. I'm involved in all kinds of things and intrigue, and I get emails and I research and the Todd Sees case. To me, I remember when it broke, and I just thought, okay, this is like urban legend. This is too fantastical to be true, and here it is. All these years later, nothing's been resolved. It is so fascinating and unbelievable, and now I think I see that rabbit hole in my future is where I'm going. It is just when you get into a case, when you get into certain things like this that are just too big and too huge and too crazy, I enjoy that. I just like going down those dark roads and trying to see what I can find, and I can see this with Todd Sees, and I am sure I will have some information for you over the next couple of days. Once this broadcast is over, it'll rebroadcast. It'll repeat in the morning on the network, and then of course it goes up on the podcast. It gets reheard and reheard and reheard, and I am sure we will have something to go on, because there is nothing. I mean, there is nothing to go on. It just sounds too impossible. Yeah. And 16 years of law enforcement. Have you ever experienced the perfect case? No. The perfect cover-up? No. Somebody talks.
Matter of fact, the area I worked in, there were 2 murders back in the 70s. When I say 70, I think it was 69. One body was found in 69. The other body was found in 70. 3.5 months ago, they found out who those 2 women were. 3.5 months ago, through DNA.
Right.
Both women, one was from Philadelphia and the other one was from Upper Darby, which is a suburb of Philadelphia.
Nancy just tweeted, before I let you go, let me get this out of you if you can. What did the remote viewers say about the case?
They've come up with stuff like the location of the ATV before we knew where it was. I mean, before we had a distance. They said it was within a mile of the house, and it did turn out it was a mile from the house. They came up with we should be talking to the farmer more because they're pretty sure that there was an animal that died that same day, a large animal, either a cow or a horse. When we did check that out, there was a horse that passed away on that farm and was taken away. But these guys that pick up those cadavers, they don't keep records. They take the animal and take it to a soap plant or whatever they do with a hide plant.
Right.
But the guy did remember, and he was within a day of the incident.
Anything else? Anything with aliens or ET?
They came up with they were pretty much on, and I still think they are on a military of some sort connection.
Right.
But we're not going to get anywhere with that.
Right.
I got more chance of I got more chance of seeing Jesus.
Well, it's definitely big government. There's a 3-letter agency.
It's just too. I mean, for something as simple as a drug overdose. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is this one so different? Why is there no information on this guy? Why have people lied to us? I mean, and they did it in writing. I mean, it wasn't like they were just off the cuff. Well, Butch, this is what I'm going to tell you, or whoever, this is what we're going to tell you, and you're going to believe it. They put it in writing, and they email it, or they, on the coroner's letterhead. I mean, I wasn't the coroner; it was somebody else. Well, no, it was you.
Yeah, how important are you that you get your tax records erased? I don't know. I have never, ever, no sitting president, no ex-president, no head of Chevron, Microsoft. I don't care who you are. That ain't going to happen. You could be the head of the NSA. You could be the head of the IRS, and that ain't going to happen.
Mm-mm.
I mean, how important are you? Well, I'm sure it's happened before.
I'm sure it happens all the time. But the thing is that here's a case from, all this time, and it's taken 5 years of pulling teeth and looking at hair and staring at legal pads and emails and reports and sometimes I feel as though like, wow, all this time and I'm still back at square one.
Absolutely. I've got, you know what? I'm just going to do this. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. You've got 1 minute to ask Butch a question.
Yeah, Jimmy. My name is Brad. Hey, I just wanted to know if this guy knew anything about David Pilates and his research.
You know what? I'm surprised. I'm surprised that this hasn't come up earlier tonight. What was your name, Brad?
Brett in Idaho.
Okay. Hey, thank you, man. Thank you for the call. And I'm going to try to get an answer out of Butch here really quick.
What was the question?
Any connection, do you think, with David Pilates' research?
Well, I think, David Pilates, with the abduction stuff that we do and what we watch, the numbers and all the people that disappear and over time, and that, we're talking about millions of people. We're not talking about a couple hundred over a 10-year period. And those figures we get come from NCIC, which is the National Crime Information Center, run by the FBI, which puts them out every year. And look, 95% of them are found. They're walkaways. They're old senile people that take a walk into the lake. Some are kidnapping. Some are husband abuse. Some are murders. All that stuff. But 75% of those are kids that just walk off. Dad's not going to give me the car. I'm going to move to Boise. But that 5% over all these years, when I started, I went back to 2000. I started in 2000 and took the reports all the way up to 2000. I think I finished 2012. 2013 will be coming out shortly. And the number that are never found, no trace, no body, man, woman, child, age makes no difference, are never found, 5%.
It's a scary number.
Yeah, it is.
And with his research, he's actually speaking tonight with Steve Murillo right down the street.
Who's that?
David Pallades.
Oh, Pallades, okay.
Yeah.
I think David's looking more as there's something in the woods.
Yeah, well, his connection to state parks too is pretty chilling.
I mean, he's got it down to the groupings, and of course, he's not getting any more information from the people, the government, the Park Service, than I'm getting from anybody else.
Right.
So I think we're both on the same track. We're just in a different direction. I'm leaning more toward, could it be a UFO situation, and this other stuff is all just, like onions on top of the hamburger. But boy, that was a really stupid ananalogy. But,
your analogies all night have been right on target. Hey, listen.
One of the things I think maybe Bigfoot. I think he's looking more into that end of it.
Yes, he is.
And which is that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm he's finding cases. He has to dig for his cases. The cases I'm looking at abduction are published by the FBI, and those cases are put in by every police department in this country, and only this country. Every year, police departments fill out a form, and on that form they put down how many bicycles were stolen, how many rapes, how many murders, how many missing persons. They fill out this big sheets of form. They send that to the FBI, and that's how they compile your yearly crime statistics. And that's online. Anybody can look at that. So when you go to National Crime Information Center and you look that stuff up, you can find out how many bicycles were stolen you're going to move to a new area and you want to know what the crime rate is. You can go there and pull it up by the state, city, township, borough. And they said, well, in the last 10 years we had a bicycle stolen, but it was recovered. That's the place you want to move.
Okay.
You go to another place, and it's downtown Chicago, and we had 37 murders over the weekend. That's not the place you want to move. So, the information is good. It gives a lot of good information, but I'm only interested in the abduction end of it, or the missing persons end of it.
Hey.
And Todd Sees case is continuing. We'll continue. And we're nowhere near getting rid of it. So,
thank you, Mr. Witkowski, and everything that's going to pop up over the next couple of days, I'll forward to you. I'm going to read credits. Just stay with me. Stay tuned. Coming up next is Sky Watchers Radio. Special thanks to Keith Rowland and Art Bell. Faded Black's executive producer is Rita Kamarian. Show is produced by Hilton J. Palm and Mark D. Kovar. Fady is by Dale Romero. Graphics, method of signaling. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Viteau, and Mark D. Kovar. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro by Spaceboy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Dark Matter Radio Network. Say goodnight, Butch.
Good night.
And I'll see everybody tomorrow. Josh Reeves. Good night, everybody.